All right, welcome in. McElroy and Cuba Lake in the morning. Wednesday, October 23rd, 7 a.m. right here on Jocks 94.5. Appreciate you being with us. Got a lot to get to today. We'll talk some Auburn, talk some Alabama. What's the rest of the schedule look like? What do we think about the rest of the season? Also, start spinning forward to some of the games this weekend. Like, I think your game's pretty interesting, Greg. My biggest concern is maybe, because a lot of people didn't think we were going to start here. My biggest concern might be Navy slowing down Notre Dame's rushing attack. I think that could be a problem.
Yes.
And when that gets going, Navy's going to run the ball. All right, so we're looking at what?
7 possessions?
8, maybe. All right, so you punt on 2. Say you turn it over on downs on 1. You got 4 possessions to make the most. So you get 28 points, basically max.
Yeah.
Navy's been scoring, so how good your defense going to be? But I don't think a lot of people know about Jeremiah Love and what kind of run game Notre Dame has. They don't have the dominant offensive line that they've had in the past, but that's the area of concern for Navy, because I do think there's a lot of people out there that are like, man, I want to see this. I want this to keep going. I want Navy to keep winning. I want Navy to. I think we would all love to see this Notre Dame or this Army-Navy undefeated scenario take place at the end of the year, where they would play in the championship game, then play again, and then
of course
maybe be playing for a spot in the playoff. Like, it'd just be awesome. But that would be. I mean, you're not all the way into it yet, but is that one of or your biggest concern for Navy in this game?
I'm pretty deep. I spent a lot of time on Navy's offense yesterday. I know Notre Dame. I've watched a lot of them. But I have not watched a lot of Navy. So I felt like I really need to spend more time on Navy this week to kind of get up to speed. I've been watching Notre Dame for 10 years. Navy's been one that haven't spent as much time on. But I spent quite a bit of time on their defense. And while they're an opportunistic group, they do a pretty good job of keeping eyes on the quarterback. They do a good job getting hands on footballs. I think they got a linebacker or two that's pretty active. They're just got to move the front. I mean, as simple as that. Like, they're going to have to move the front, guess right. But I think y'all remember when Bama played Cincinnati in the playoff? I'd envision an offensive plan that looks somewhat similar to that. Now, I think a lot of what Jeremiah Love's really good back. Love him. But I also think Jadarian Price is really good too. They got a nice 1-2 punch, but the quarterback's legs make him very difficult to defend. He's got some power to him when he runs. Not saying he's going to plow folks like Estime last year, but he's got enough where he can churn out some hard yardage as well. So it's going to be. I think it's a fascinating game. I think if you're just a casual college football fan, it's a game that it'll really appeal to you. But I also think there's an appeal to the hardcore, because if you look at this Navy offense and some of the bells and whistles that they'll play with, if you watch them, you need to go back when you're bored one day and watch the Memphis game, dude, it was like throwback pass, double pass, running back pass, halfback pass to quarterback, Philly special. They've had to have run 8 trick plays in the game. It was insane. And they scored 55. So that's what they did against their most talented team they've played so far. I can only imagine what they'll do against a team that is much more talented than the team they played there, where they were pulling out all the stops.
It's a cool offense. I feel like we've covered that before. We've had that conversation.
They just don't care.
No.
I've never seen a team that is so willing to call double passes and hand off double passes. I mean, they'll run every trick. They'll run 5 trick plays in this game on Saturday. I'd be surprised if they didn't. It's just funny. They don't care. It's 2nd and 13. All right, cool. What do you like, coach? Let's go halfback pass. All right. They just don't care. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's
not as funky as I was anticipating, though.
No, but they give you. I don't think he has to run as many formations as he did, because the triple option stuff's already built in. But when he was at Mercer and I had him, he literally ran Notre Dame box. Like, he ran like what Penn State, the formation Penn State runs in short yardage. I mean, like, he ran some cool stuff. And same difference. Like, he wasn't running that on 3rd and 1. He was running it on 2nd and 8. And he would use it to get guys open and do different things. So it's a cool offense to watch. He does a great job with it, and that's one coming up this weekend. Greg will be on the call for that one. There seems to be a bit of a new mindset with Alabama. And I wanted to get your thoughts on how much of this you think can be meaningful, how much of this can make a difference, how much of this potentially can, I guess, go a long way with where Alabama needs to go, the things that they need to improve upon, and the things that they need to do. Refocusing on small things this week, getting back to what we're supposed to wear, shirts tucked in, 5 minutes, 10 minutes early to meetings, not all this late stuff, not doing what you want to do. That's from CJ Dupree yesterday.
Love it.
When you hear that, though, what's the first thing that you think?
Why now?
Why was all that other stuff happening anyway?
See,
I think a lot of people see that and they hear, "Oh, good, we're getting on track." I read that and I say, "Why were we doing what we wanted to do to begin with? What happened there?"
Maybe the leash was a little too long. Maybe it was a little too long. It's time to say, "Hey, no, this ain't happening." I honestly, I went to practice last week and I fully anticipated seeing rah. I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought that maybe that was going to be how it was, but it wasn't, man. Coaches were getting after players. Players were practicing hard. The players that could practice were practicing hard. Some guys are in black jerseys and can't go because they're banged up. And the team in general is just really banged up. But I think sometimes you just need a refocusing of where things are at. Missouri, they're coming to town this week. They're super banged up. Crazy bang. Everyone's banged up. It's brutal. I think why now would be the first question. And two, I think Kalen wants to be, I think Kalen wants to be on the player side for sure. I think he wants the players to feel good about him and feel good about themselves and, not be scared of their own shadow like the previous regime. But enough is enough. When the details are not being accounted for on the field, it's got to be cleaned up. The penalties, mistakes, errant throws, miscommunications, those things can't happen. Can't happen anymore. It's week 8. It's time to, or maybe week 9 now. It's time to move forward. So I'm glad that they're addressing it now, and hopefully it's not too late.
And you said it earlier this week, though, Greg. The penalty thing had been coming. That's been snowballing. That's not just this year. I would love to have. I don't even know who you asked this. We'll ask Coach Dilfer here in a few minutes. But where do teams that are hit hard by penalties? Where does that come from? Because I do think some of it is just being aggressive.
It is.
You're going to get face masks. You're going to get horse collars. You're going to get roughing the quarterbacks. You're going to get late hits. You're going to get unnecessary roughness, tracking plays downfield, taking a guy out too late, finishing a block. Hell, we saw an Auburn offensive lineman 2 years ago in Starkville get he got an unnecessary roughness for finishing a guy literally as the whistle was being blown. I was like, okay, what are we doing here? What's the even point of blocking them? But to stay, it's the pre-snap stuff. Obviously, that's an issue.
That's the problem.
And you were there, and you've told us, and I told you I saw it on film. And I have another example of it that I want to discuss that I discussed on the podcast that you and I didn't go over that I want to get to. I'm going to write that down because I want to get to that after Dilfer. But that was a part of it. But how do you make it go away?
Man, I got to be honest with you. I don't know if I have the answer for you. So here's the thing. When you're operating no huddle, you're operating with tempo, you're operating with those things. You're going to have more procedural issues. When you huddle up and everybody's able to, and if the guy has a question, I can answer it as the quarterback. You're not going to have as many. Also snapping the ball 75 times as opposed to the 60 that you ran back in the day or the 58. So the opportunity for penalties are more. With a mobile quarterback, you're always going to have more penalties. Why? Because offensive linemen are going to hold.
Yep.
The second the guy breaks the pocket, they're going to hold. So the more mobile guys have gotten at quarterback for Bama, the more likely you've had tackles that are going to hold as the guy breaks the pocket. Bryce held the ball forever. So what do you think that led to? Holding.
Yep.
Jalen escapes horizontally. What do you think that leads to? Holding. I think people just associate penalties with a blatant disregard for the rules.
That's so fair.
You know what I mean? People think that, if this team's penalized, their coach is soft.
Or they're dumb.
Yeah, or they're dumb, or this team lacks character. You know what I mean? There's a big difference between the Miami teams of 1988.
Yes.
And that are literally trying to take people out.
Well, and celebrating 4-yard gains.
Correct.
Like
And doing back
game.
handsprings, round off back handsprings, and an Irish river dance in the end zone after they score a touchdown. Like,
I mean, I can vividly remember telling you being like a freshman in high school and seeing Lamar Thomas catch a slant for like 6.
Yeah.
And take his helmet off on the field and signal first down. 6-yard gain.
Love that.
You're just like, this is different.
I
like,
love
these
that.
dudes do not care.
Well, we talked to Lane about this. Like, Ole Miss has been hit hard with penalties, and he goes, "I got to be honest with you, like." And he might have even said, "Don't say this," but I think it sums up what he said. We want our guys to be right on the fringe. You know what I mean? Like, we want our guys to be so physical at corner that we're right there on the cusp of maybe having a penalty or maybe having a tight PBU. You know what I mean? Like that. I think he's like, yeah, we're trying to fix it to the point where we're grabbing jerseys. Like, we can't grab jerseys. So as a result, they had guys covering guys while holding tennis balls. And they've also put oven mitts on their defensive backs.
They were doing the oven mitts when I was there.
Like, so you got oven mitts and they're holding tennis balls. Like, just because they keep grabbing jerseys. So that's something they're trying to get cleaned up. So they're addressing it. But he also is like, dude, if you look at the best teams in the country, none of them are in the top 10 as far as penalty yardage is concerned. None of them. The best defenses and the best offensive lines are not top 10 in penalty. You know the top 10 penalty teams are? Like Army, Navy, Air Force. Why? Because they don't have that many plays, first and foremost. And secondly, like, you have the Iowas of the world. Who do you want your team to be like Iowa?
Iowa State, Iowa, Wisconsin, Rutgers, West Virginia, Oak State, Western Michigan, Air Force, Army, Kent State.
Combined record of those teams.
A lot of the Kent State is the officials just saying that's
let it go.
We're not going to do that to them. This is bad enough. Utah, BYU, BC, Minnesota, a lot of ball control teams. A lot of
ball control teams whose lives depend on no penalties because they can't overcome penalties. Here, I'm going to do the top 10.
Iowa has 19 penalties this year.
Great. Oh, look how disciplined.
We'll talk penalties a little bit later in the hour. We got to get to a break. We'll come back.
Top 10 penalty teams, just quickly, just so we can look up the record, the overall record.
You find that.
I got it right here.
About train as we head further into football season. You're never going to get penalized for having a train. Protect your HVAC system with a checkup from a train comfort specialist so when cold weather hits, you'll have peace of mind that you're protected by America's most reliable and trusted HVAC brand. Find a comfort specialist near you at train.com. It's hard to stop a train.
Love it. West Virginia, 3-4. Oklahoma State, 3-4. Rutgers, 4-3. Western Michigan, 4-3. Iowa, 4-3. Air Force, 1-6. Then you have the anomalies. The Wisconsin, we've seen them. If you want to be like them, that sounds good. BYU, Iowa State, and Army are all undefeated. So you do have 3 teams that are undefeated, but I don't think anyone believes those 3 teams are legitimate contenders at the end of the year.
Probably not. All right, we'll get to a break. Come back. UAB head football coach Trent Dilfer going to join us next on Mac and Cube in the morning.
Welcome back, McElroy Cubic in the morning. Jocks 94.5, 717 here in Birmingham, Alabama, Wednesday, October 23rd. Appreciate you being with us. Also appreciate our friends at Bill Smith Buick GMC. It's amazing just what they'll do for you. They'll make sure that they can beat any price. That goes without saying. It's incredible. Incredible the types of deals that you'll find when you go on the lot and you see all the different variety and all the different savings that you'll be able to make when you go and buy a brand new GMC Sierra 1500 SLT. Car 67,860 is a list. You take 13,500 off. You get 54,360 when you go and shop with Bill Smith. No one else is going to be able to match that deal. So just don't waste your time. Go. You're literally costing yourself money if you don't take the short drive up to Coleman and shop with Andy Cole and Jonathan Yeager and their incredible sales staff. So go and see them. I-65 exit 310, Highway 31 in Coleman. You can shop online at BillSmithBuickGMC.com.
Trent Dilfer, UAB head football coach, joins us now on the Buyers Right hotline. And coach, we were just talking about penalties and teams that can't seem to get over that hump. How do you try to address that, correct that? Can you really change your ways in the middle of a season if that is an issue?
You have an answer. Come help me. Give me an answer. I mean, we have talked about this issue ad nauseum. We have systems in place during training camp where there's discipline on pre-snap penalties. We have stopped practice when players have reacted emotionally and shoved a player or do anything that would cause a 15-yard penalty and made them do rolls. We've had they've gone with the wait staff and pushed plates, done up downs. We have had charts in team meetings on how penalties, beat you, hidden yardage in games. Try to develop habits where it would better habits where it would decrease penalty. I mean, literally, I have tried everything I know that I've learned from all the coaches I've played for or been around. And we're still terrible. I mean, terrible in that category. We talked about personal fouls. We lost the game Saturday because of a personal foul. We had a third down stop up 19-7 with offensive momentum, and we extend a drive, they score, and it kind of snowballs from there. So, it's cost us 2 games. We had 2 against ULM in week 2 that cost us first downs, led to points. It's just been a horrible thing for us. And people say, well, why can't you fix it? And we're trying everything we can. I think at some point it's up to the player. I mean, a player has to make a good decision when it's hard to make a good decision. You have to let go if you're an offensive lineman when you're disengaged and finish with a shove instead of finishing with a grab. You have to target lower as a tackler and not pull on the back of jerseys or hit guys around the face. You have to not respond when the guy shoves you or cheap shots you. You can't react and, shove back or throw a punch. When you're disappointed because you recover a fumble, but they don't give you the fumble, you can't push a guy because he says something bad to you. These are just basic things that as a player you have to learn and you have to make better decisions. And unfortunately, our guys and guys around the country are not doing a good job with that.
It's one of those things, though, and I feel like it's like that with all the different weird things in college football, pro football. If you talk about penalties and you make them such a point of emphasis, you get more. If you talk about turnovers and you make them such a point of emphasis, you have more. If you talk about ball security, for whatever reason, when you talk about it so much, you fumble it. It's like when you're standing up there on the tee box, and you would never do this, but others do. You're standing up there on the tee box on 7 at Vestavia, and you're like, don't hit it in the water. Don't hit it in the water. Well, guess what? You're going to hit it in the water. So how do you balance the emphasis, but also making sure it gets corrected without making it too big a deal?
It's a habit building, because I lived this as a player. When I was decisive, never worried about throwing interceptions. Hey, just go do your job, make plays. I did my job and made plays. As soon as it was, hey, don't throw an interception, can't take a sack, got to be careful, play field position. Then you're indecisive and you make all the mistakes. So I'm very aware of that because I lived it as a player. It's about habit building. It's about positive self-talk. It's about being in the right mindset is maybe an easier way of saying it. So you try to train those habits. It goes back to, like, in my opinion, it goes back to what, the great, I was with Tony Dungy on, we had him come in and speak to us Friday night, and I got to spend some time with him during the week and Friday night. And we're just kind of picking his brain on, hey, coach, these are things I've tried to implement. Am I doing it right here? Am I doing it right there? Hey, critique me if I'm doing it wrong there. And he just got back to basic, like, your actions over time will get better. Your habits will get better if that's what you're training. Sometimes it's a long road. Like, sometimes it's not, it doesn't happen as fast as you want it to happen. But you just got to keep relentlessly trying to train good habits. We're supposed to be in the building at 6:30 every morning, staff and players. And then this morning we have 4 or 5 guys that roll in at 6:34. Is that okay? No. It wasn't a suggestion to be here at 6:30. So, we have to discipline them, because discipline's a tool to change behavior. And then over time, they'll wake up 5 minutes earlier, or they'll, make sure that they account for traffic, or they'll make sure they sprint from their cars to the front door if it's a minute or two different. But you're just building habits that will hopefully carry over to making good decisions on game day.
Trent Dilfer joining us on the Buyers Right Hotline, UAB head football coach with us each and every week. So Jalen Kitna gives you a lot of production this week. You're in a dogfight with South Florida. You mentioned that you go down late. So the kids are showing a lot of fight. The team not giving up. A lot of positives to take from this. He goes for 384, 2 touchdowns, but fumbles a couple times, throws 1 interception. Assess the overall performance for Kitna.
Yeah, me and him talked about this. He's so competitive. He's so tough. I mean, he is taking a beating and just not flinching, making big-time NFL throws, gun barrel toughness, all the things you're looking for, but careless with the football, ball security. And we sat here face-to-face, and I just said, you can never count a game like that as a good game. A lot of good things that we're seeing, but you got to make sure that you understand the value of the ball, like the value of ball security. Now, the interception, I would not put on him. Just defending a quarterback, not every interception has a story. That one has a story that wasn't on him. He got okey-doked a little bit there. But I think he fumbled 3 times, once in the pocket, really maybe unavoidable. But the 2 out in the open field, one we lose and one we recover, are inexcusable mistakes and things that we have emphasized in practice when he escapes the pocket to be aware of, and we'll just keep doing it. Yesterday there was a play in practice where he had very similar to the game, where he climbed up in the pocket, escaped, and you can immediately see him tuck the ball, and then he arm barred it when he got in the open field, so he's aware of it. He's trying to change his habits, but again, it's habit building. Both those fumbles were things that we have noticed in practice and we pointed out are bad habits of his that he needs to continue to improve on.
What do you want to do in the bye week? What are things of significance? I know you want to assess everything, look at everything. How much do you ramp it up? How much do you pull them back? I imagine the guys are gassed, but what's the philosophy going into an open date?
Well, I read something last night. Somebody sent me a quote from Kalen, like, hey, we're doubling down on the little things, tucking in jerseys and being on time. And I think anytime you lose, you have to reassess your stand. Are you enforcing your standards? And I looked myself in the mirror, and yes, we do. I feel dirty sometimes saying we got to do a better job at that, because then it's also admittance that you haven't done as good a job with that. And, but we're all guilty of it. We're all guilty of it. You also assume certain things are being reinforced in your building because you've made it a point of emphasis as the head coach, but then you realize they haven't been. So one of the things I said early in the week was, everybody's got to understand that when I say something, when I put it up on the board, when we have a team meeting or a staff meeting, guys, these are not suggestions. Like, I'm not suggesting that you clean your locker. I'm not suggesting that you respect the building by picking up after yourself. I'm not suggesting you tuck in your jersey. I'm not suggesting you run from drill to drill. These are not suggestions. I'm not suggesting that you go to class or turn in your assignments or, and go on and on and on. Like, these are our standards. I'm reminding you, because you're a young person and you're a young coach, that these are things that need to be on the forefront of your thinking all the time. And I think what happens is people get comfortable. And as they get comfortable, they get complacent. And you can't ever become complacent in this game. You just can't, whether you're winning or losing. I heard Coach Saban speak on Monday at the quarterback club, and he said, I have the gift of never relaxing. I'm never satisfied. It was a gift that my father gave me. And he goes, I think that's one of the reasons why we're always successful, is because I never got complacent, not one time in my career. And, you need those types of people in your building. So to answer your question, it's doubling down on the things you've already done. From a football standpoint, last bye week, I went pads, shells, shorts. We're going pads, walk. We need to become consistently more physical. Now we've shortened the time on the field, not to kill them, but yesterday's practice was highly, highly physical. It'll be highly physical today. I think players that have had starting roles, but younger players have now challenged them, have developed, and are challenging them. There's an open competition at their positions. There has to be a heightened awareness that every day is the most important day, especially when you're 1-6. But I would do this if we were 6-1. I don't think it changes. You just kind of double down on the winning things. I gave him a very quick speech yesterday, really quick. It was this: the more winning things we consistently do, we'll find a way to win. The more we continue to do losing things, the more we'll continue to lose. Here's the winning things. Here's the losing things. It's up to you.
All great stuff, Coach. We appreciate the time. It's always great catching up with you. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. And,
do you have time for me to ask one question?
100%.
Yes.
How bad are the ratings dips at 7:15 on a Wednesday morning when the 1-6 coach comes on? I do know how much ratings are important for sponsorship. So.
They are, and people love hearing you talk because they appreciate your honesty. I don't think, regardless of record, you could be undefeated right now, and I think people would still just want to hear you talk about football. So that's why we love having you.
Well, I can also just tell funny NFL stories if we ever need to boost the ratings.
Well, it's gonna be great here a year from now when you're 6-1 and we flip this thing on its head, and we already got you locked in. We've sunk our teeth into you, so you have to join us at 7:15 all the time.
I appreciate you guys. We'll talk.
Thanks, Coach. That's Trent Dilfer, UAB head football coach, joining us on the Buyers Right hotline for all your insurance needs. It's Buyers Right Insurance. And they've got some work to do. Nobody wants to be sitting here at 1-6. And it's kind of that back and forth, Greg, like you just mentioned. Kitna goes out there, throws for 384. He throws an interception. He puts the ball on the deck 3 times. Now, you only lose one, but you just ball security.
But he has not played a lot of football. I mean, that's going to happen
fair.
when you haven't played a lot.
It made me smile when he said that, because when I play football with my 4-year-old and 7-year-old in the backyard and they run around, I try to strip the ball from them. I literally yell ball security. And it's to the point now where when I come up and start to tackle them, like my 4-year-old says, ball security. And he's running around. I'm trying to hammer that in already. But that's what you have to. It's all about the ball. If my 2 boys
You're
were
going to
here
let
right
your kids play football?
If my 2 boys were here right now and I said it's all about, they would say the ball. I mean, it's just things that I don't do it.
You don't say the stats?
I don't do it for those reasons. We don't talk stats. No. I will say this. This is kind of a funny sidebar story. So I've tweaked my back over the weekend. I'm kind of struggling with that. So I was just kind of trying to relax and lay around, and wife's getting the kids for bed, and 4-year-old wanted to he's like, I want to just lay with daddy. So she's like, well, come get your pajamas on. You can come down. So he gets his pajamas on and comes down. And Greg will tell you, like I'll tell you, we don't watch a ton of football with our kids, specifically me, because I'm not home on Sunday. So I go straight to Charlotte to get ready for Read and React. And so we were watching Sam Houston State and FIU. And I've told you this before, and I think you said your kids do this too. My 4-year-old has to know who you're rooting for.
Yes,
when you
100% every time.
First question every single time. Daddy, who are you rooting for? And I was like, you know what?
Every time.
We like FIU's head coach. We're going to root for them. Plus their uniforms are cool.
Yes.
He's like, okay, FIU. He goes, whose stadium? I was like, it's Pitbull Stadium. I knew he was going to love that. He was like, oh, okay, yeah, we're in. So we're going. And I was just amazed at how much like general football he knows.
Yeah.
And so he's like, what's the score? I was like, well, look up there. You can tell me the score. And he's like, 0-0. I said, 0-0. He goes, so it's tie game? It's tie game.
Love that.
So, and he said, so then FIU goes for it on 4th down. And he said, Daddy, this is their last chance? I said, if they don't get this, yeah, the other team gets the ball. And so then my 7-year-old comes down and there's like 1:52 left. And he says, oh, this game's almost halftime. And I was like, no, but in the first quarter, I said, it's not halftime yet. And the 4-year-old says, and then they switch sides? And I was just like, good job, wife. Like, I mean,
we got action.
We're doing something here.
100%.
Like, let's go. So it was cool to kind of actually sit down and watch a little bit of football with them because we don't get to do that very often. But it was fun last night either way. All right. And before we did that, they were outside.
The other thing that's hilarious to me about the who you rooting for thing, like I got the answer. Literally, Vince asked me this question last night. Daddy, when you were working on Ole Miss LSU, who were you rooting for? I'm like, a good game, buddy.
I thought he was going to say this past weekend. I was like, don't
ask
that one.
No.
We don't talk about that one.
No, he didn't ask about that one. He asked because he knew who I'm rooting. He knows we root for Alabama. So that's not, he's wearing a Big Al shirt for crying out loud in the seat as we're having this discussion. But he did ask about that. And I said, I got to be honest with you, buddy. He goes, were you happy at LSU? And I was like, I was fine. Yeah, I was fine. It was good. He's like, well, I was happy that LSU won, but I was sad that Ole Miss lost. I was like, yeah, I understand that too. He goes, I was rooting for both of them. I'm like, I know sometimes they both can't win. He goes, yeah, but I hope Ole Miss wins more games. So Vince now is an Ole Miss fan, an LSU fan, because he's in the purple house at school. So they have houses by color. So he's now kind of a Washington and an LSU fan. He pulled that out. I goes, there are no TCU. He goes, even though purple's a girl color, I still like some teams that have purple. That's what he said. These are my things. I was like, I don't think that's necessarily true, but there's lots of, purple. I have purple shirts, purple everything too. He goes, yeah, no, it's super cool. And LSU and Washington are both purple. I'm like, how'd you know Washington? I don't know.
You didn't know TCU yet?
No, I don't know TCU yet.
JMU? Allow me to introduce Vince to Grimace the Menace.
Well, Grimace, yeah, would become a Met fan.
Not a girl thing.
Actually, he probably could have maybe. We did watch some Dodgers Mets.
Colorado Rockies?
No, come on. Let's not get carried away.
Hey, got the thin air.
Ravens, Vikings, any of that?
Oh,
Ravens. We could get him on board with Ravens. I did say Vikings. He said Justin Jefferson. He loves Justin Jefferson.
All right.
He said Justin Jefferson played for LSU and Vikings, so he's double purple.
Double.
That's what he said. I was like,
A lot of purple there.
Northwestern. Interesting.
Well, it's best because 7-year-old comes in there and 4-year-old tells 7-year-old who he's rooting for. And because 7-year-old asked too, and he goes, "We root for FIU because their uniform's cool."
Uniform's cool plus pit bull.
That's all we need. We don't need anything else.
Give it the time.
Who do we have tonight? I might need to look up who's playing tonight.
Tonight we've got Liberty at Kennesaw State.
All right, we're rooting for Kennesaw.
I have a feeling that Vince is going to root for Kennesaw because they are 0-6. He's just going to want them. You feel like they need to get a win.
Because if there's one thing I've figured out about kids is they really like underdogs. They don't like front runners at all.
Yeah.
That's why they're all Chiefs fans. There's
no Pat Mahomes fans out there. And then we've got MTSU at 2-5 at Jacksonville State. And Jacksonville State's going with like the dark uniforms. They've got the red helmets with the new logo on it.
We'll go Jack State tonight.
Yeah.
Even though D-Mace is our guy.
We like D-Mace. D-Mace has met the kids. He's been pretty cool to them. So we might have to go MTSU. And Kendall Simmons coaches at MTSU. We might have to go MTSU. We're rooting for them.
That's a toss-up. It's a tough one. Dang it.
Sorry, Rick. All right, we'll get to a break. Back with more Mac and Cube next. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Kubelik in the morning, 7:40, Wednesday, October 23rd, right here on Jocks 94.5. So you heard me mention it a moment ago. 6 p.m. tonight, CBS Sports Network, 5-0 Liberty, 0-6 Kennesaw State. I feel like I have an idea where everybody's going to lean in that one.
No.
By the way, he
Kennesaw
doesn't get a lot of credit because the schedule has not been super difficult, but Chadwell has done a great job since he's moved over. I mean, he's taken that thing. I know it was in good shape. Freeze, they were winning, but he has taken that. They might be climbing with him taking over there. And then 6:30 p.m. ESPN 2-5 Middle Tennessee at 3-3 Jacksonville State. So that's your college football coming up tonight. Some NFL news really quick. The Browns are going to start Jameis Winston at quarterback this weekend. Did we hear Jameis postgame? Anyone?
Did.
Pretty amazing.
Not pretty. Very amazing.
I feel like Jameis could go into politics when he's done and probably be successful.
No doubt.
He'd be great for some clips, but I feel like he could convince some people to do some things and that he's the guy for the job. Titans trade DeAndre Hopkins to the Chiefs for a 5th.
It might become a 4th.
It does become a 4th,
Maybe,
potentially.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, for now, it's a 5th.
Oh, correct. Right. Yeah.
So with Treylon Burks on injured reserve, Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd, Jaquan Jackson, Nick Westbrook, Ikana, those are your wide receivers for the Titans?
Not familiar. Hadn't seen the tape.
Feels like reset button has been pushed. Yes? No?
I think that's
Maybe?
safe.
Almost?
I think that's real safe.
So just a little bit of NFL news there that you've got going. Dion says Travis Hunter will play versus Cincinnati this weekend. And this is a big one, Greg. Ohio State loses left tackle Josh Simmons. He's out for the year. Transfer from San Diego State. Good player, solid player, not elite, anything like that. But I can't really imagine what next is gonna look like, because he was solid, but man, that's a tough loss for Ohio State.
Yeah, it is. And if you look at Ohio State, the left side has been decent. I'm not saying they're, world beaters. They're not Orlando Pace, but that's one more thing that you got to account for. The right side's been the problem. They've been shuffling the right guard. The right tackle's been up and down. I mean, Fryer's been up and down since you ride, and the guy's been there forever.
Yeah.
But the left side was at least stable. And him being out is big, but it sounded like it was going to be that. I mean, I know they're just announcing it yesterday, but I don't think anyone's that surprised at the announcement based on what people were saying the last couple of weeks.
Well, hey, good news if you're a Titans fan, the one in the building. In 2025, you will now have picks in the 1st, 2nd, 4th, or 5th. That's a 4th for sure, a 4th or 5th, then a 5th for sure, and a 6 and a 7. So 7 draft picks in 25, beginning to stack that up. If you can get excited about that, okay, cool. Obviously, nobody excited about that. All
Not
right.
particularly, no. I don't know how many people are Titans fans. They're the Braves of the NFL.
Hold on. When did you go negative on Titans?
When they moved from Houston.
Okay. So you were what, 4?
Okay.
Give or take.
Was it the year at the Liberty Bowl they had to play?
That was it.
Made you
Yeah,
mad?
that was the problem. That was the problem year. That's the one that did
That's
it
the
in
one
for me.
that threw you under the bus. Okay.
No, I just feel like Titans, Nashville in general, the city, just a very trendy city. Like when the Titans are good, everybody's a fan. When the Titans are bad, nobody cares. And that irritates me.
It's one of the weirdest things that I'll never forget is covering the NFL draft up there and walking around. It was such an awesome scene. They did such a great job with the setup. But how many other jerseys I saw walking around compared to Titans jerseys? Like I could probably give you 7 teams that I saw more of than I saw Titans jerseys walking around downtown Nashville.
So it's Las Vegas West?
Yes.
Or East?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's actually a very good comp, I feel like. All right, we'll get to a break, come back, get to our top 3. But don't forget about Backyard Adventures. We were looking for a playground in our backyard for a long time. Thankfully, found Jeff and the guys at Backyard Adventures, went to Cahaba Valley Road. They're all put together so the kids can play on them. And we said, you know what? We want that slide, but we think they want the monkey bars and the rock wall. He goes, no, we can put them all together. They customize it for you. And here's the best part. They come to your house and put it all together. So then I hear Greg talking about the basketball goal. We get one. They came and set it up. The only bad part is my truck from Royal has about taken out our basketball goal 52 times because my son puts it down to 6 feet when I'm gone because he keeps trying to dunk on it. But yeah, they can set you up.
Who can blame him for that?
Nobody. They can set you up with the basketball as well, G-Mac.
Yeah, they can. The basketball goal has been a great investment. We've used it a lot. Never had it down at 6. We don't practice bad habits. We keep it at 8 at our house. Maybe 8.5. I don't know. Where do 6-year-olds play? 5-year-olds play? I'm not sure. It can go down to 6 though. If you're feeling like an alpha and you feel like throwing down, drop it to 6 and let it rain.
Just go.
But it's been great. It's been a lot of fun. It's provided tons of energy and activity for our family. I know it will for yours as well. So go see them off Cobb Valley Road, or you can go online at backyardalabama.com.
All right, when we come back, top 3 next. Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Kubelik in the morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Before we get to our top 3, G-Mac, tell our listeners about B-Dry.
B-Dry has been serving Alabama and customers here in the community for 60 years. It's B-Dry that you can always count on to make sure that your basement or crawl space is waterproofed and the foundation is secure. They're the largest waterproofing company in the country. They also have a solution that stops all 5 ways that water can enter your foundation. So go and get B-Dry today to get things taken care of. They also have the strongest lifetime warranty, a life of the structure warranty, and you don't have to pay $1 for 12 months. Interest-free, 12 months. I'm just not sure it gets much better than that. So go and check them out today at bdryalabama.com, or you can call them at 942-1976.
All right, top three comes to you each and every day. Doesn't have to be sports. Damien, top three today. What's on tap?
This is a little bit ancient, but it's National iPod Day.
Come again?
National iPod Day.
I did
Do
something.
they still make them? I'm not saying that
I
like
don't think they
joking.
make
I don't
them.
think they make them.
Don't think so.
No, I saw an article not long ago where the old ones, you could get pretty decent amount of money for them on eBay.
Heck yeah, I probably got a
That
couple of them
nostalgia.
bricks sliding. Yeah, those are good paperweights.
God, I was such an idiot too.
It's a good paperweight.
When the first not rounded off ones came out, of course I had to get like the 7,000.
Of course.
Gig.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like I might need 17 million songs one day. You never know.
You never know.
99 cents, 99 cents, 99 cents, 99 cents, 99
That
cents.
was your mistake. Mm.
Start adding up.
Mm.
It's actually one of y'all big homies' birthday today. Y'all remember your boy LeVar Ball?
It's Greg's guy.
Heck yeah.
Jello Pops.
Jello's dad.
Yeah, Jello Pops.
Jello.
Jello
So
pop.
good.
No, we're gonna keep it on the
LeVar
gridiron
Ball's
today.
that. Hey, he was a trailblazer.
Did he
Y'all are all
just get?
hating.
Did he just get like a piece of the pie and said, "I'm good," or do you think somebody made him be quiet? Like, do you think LaMelo's agent was like, "Enough.
No,
we're gonna give you. Here's your.
He got that
stipend.
long bread.
Here's your stipend. Be quiet."
He got that long bread from Big Baller Brand.
That's
I think
definitely.
they sold enough shoes
They sold
to
exactly.
where
I think
didn't need to
sold.
work.
I think he sold all the proprietary to Skechers, who's now making a move.
Yeah,
But think
in
about it. Why? How does he not
basketball
have
world.
like a podcast?
How do we know he doesn't? Everybody has a
I'm
podcast.
sure we would.
we would know.
Yeah.
We would
it'd
know
be
if
out
he
there.
did.
He could tape it here.
See, now you pique my interest. I just kind of want to know what he's up to. If I watched
K. Ivy's got it next.
If I watched Hornets games, I would know if he actually even went to the games.
True,
Actually, I might
right,
have an
yeah.
in on that. I'm going to ask.
Greg's a big Hornets guy.
At one time, season ticket holder. Believe it or not, it's a real thing.
Because they were $15.
Give or
Right.
take. 15 per ticket.
Oh,
We
he
were
is,
like
he is
sixth
on the
row.
gram.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
How many followers on Twitter?
Is he an influencer? I bet it's a lot.
500K.
182.
North or south?
313.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
It's pretty big.
Last tweet came in 22.
So yeah, he got.
He's
Yeah.
got.
Yeah, he's breaded.
He
very
left.
I mean,
He
he
went away.
he's Thanos. He did what he accomplished to do, and he can
He got
sit
two in the
back
league.
and watch the sunrise on a grateful universe.
How mad are y'all?
938 on the gram.
How
Last
mad,
post was on March 27th.
for real,
Okay,
how
well,
mad are y'all that,
it's
that
October.
LeVar's so breaded?
I don't know how
I
breaded
wouldn't say
he
I'm
is.
mad, but you know,
Max breaded.
Visit bbbfam.com. That's Better Business Bureau, right?
That's the way I see it. If you get a cease and desist from the Better Business Bureau, you got problems.
you don't say. No,
Hey,
the
by
top
the way,
three today.
that's not a bad one to try to like ride the coattails of for
Oh, you
your
think?
personal website. Yeah. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good. I'm gonna keep it on the gridiron. Who are the top three teams that have disappointed you so far this season?
Number one, Chicago White Sox.
Oh yeah.
You had high hopes for them coming in. I remember that.
You know, I wouldn't necessarily say high hopes, but anytime you go 41 and 121, I'm going to say you're a disappointment. Just flat out, point blank disappointment.
They let you down
2, Carolina Panthers.
Oh yeah.
because they benched Bryce Young.
I don't know why, but I kind of are rooting for Bryce Young. I just think he's a great kid. I just love being around him, talking to him, and I think because everybody was like, "Oh, he's too small, he's not going to make it." I kind of wanted it to work, and so also don't really anticipate real NFL football teams being 1-6 and being outscored by 133 points through 7 games. So yeah, I would say they've been my number 2 let down. Number 3, Auburn. Football.
Oh okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not let down by hoops yet, are you?
No, Bruce got that thing going, man. You see tip off at Tumors? They were rocking.
Missed it. I'm sure Tom Hart was on the call.
No, it's not in Lexington.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Midnight Magic.
Auburn is definitely one of mine. I'm very disappointed. I thought that they really had a chance to win 8 games. I honestly thought, looking at the schedule, 7 would be the floor. I did not anticipate them gift wrapping games and giving them away. I picked them last week to win, and they gift wrapped that one and gave it away. I'm bummed. I'm bummed for their fans, and I'm bummed that they just haven't found a way to finish as of this moment. So that's been a really disappointing one. Can I pick ones that are disappointing in a positive way? Because I'm thought they'd stink and they do.
Why would that be disappointing?
Well, just
You
disappointing
wanted it
for
to be
them.
bad?
No, it's disappointing for them, but I took a lot of heat. I'm sure y'all did too in the preseason about Florida State and Michigan, saying that, they had a real chance to kind of fall out of the top 10.
You're disappointed we were right?
I'm disappointed for them that we were right.
I'm not.
I'm just disappointed for their fans for being wrong. Good for you.
I did not have high hopes for either of those two teams, but
No.
I am disappointed in Utah, who, as of right now, have lost 3 in a row. Things don't exactly look like they're going to get a whole lot
I
better.
picked them to win the conference.
Who didn't?
I thought it
And
was a
then
lock.
another one, Arizona. They're projected to win 5 games.
Kyler Murray hadn't been as good as I thought.
Not one bit. Or Salzy thought.
Too many video games.
Number 1 for me, Florida State. Number 2, Oklahoma State.
Yep.
That's a
Number
good one.
3, Kansas.
Yeah,
Didn't
all
they be
3.
this? Didn't think they'd be this.
Yeah.
Kansas, a good one.
Yeah. I had Oklahoma State, Auburn, and then the Tennessee Titans.
Who?
The Tennessee Titans.
Who
1
do
and
they- Who do
5.
they play for?
1 and 5.
Are they Missouri Valley?
They're in the NFL, Gregory.
Oh,
I don't know. Not if they're a relegation.
It's been disappointing. It's been disappointing.
at least you have Tootsies.
New stadium coming.
New state. Hey, we're building it up.
I've got
We sound like Auburn fans.
I've got a little bonus disappointed for a team that was actually really good. I'll tell you who it was and why when we come back next on Mac and Cube in the morning. We did have history last night. The James family played in a basketball game together. Well, 2 of them. Do we watch that?
I watched a little bit.
I don't really like made-for-TV events.
Like all sports?
Present company excluded.
Right.
No.
I'm going to be honest with you. Flipped it over, and of course, son wanted to watch LeBron for a minute. It took me about 11 minutes to figure out if this was the last preseason game or the first regular season game.
They did a great job of.
I was like, I think we've started. Haven't turned the page to the NBA just yet.
Yeah.
That usually comes around
March.
April-ish.
Yeah.
But son is big fan of multiple NBA players. So we had to watch for a minute, and I was like, I think this might be the first regular season game.
It was.
Yeah.
It was indeed.
And then they both checked in together. I did notice Bronny left him hanging. They got on the
What a
court.
teammates at that point.
LeBron tried to dab him up, and he like kept walking. I was like, whoa.
It is your dad.
Right.
Yeah, I can't be seen with him.
Right.
He only put you on an NBA roster.
Give me the ball,
Hell,
Pops.
Yeah. You can drop me off a block away from the movie theater. I'll walk
I'll
up.
walk up.
It was cool to see the 2 of them with King Griffey Sr. and Jr.
Bronny a block and a half away from Staples walking up by himself. His dad dropped him home.
Better
Do you
basketball.
think they rode to the arena together?
That'd be hilarious. Better basketball player, Ken Griffey Jr. now or Bronny now?
I'm not doing that.
What?
Because the answer's Junior now.
I think Junior can give
Griffey
me 3
Jr.,
good.
yeah.
Junior can give me 3 good minutes and go 0 for 2 from the field.
He's not getting up and down the court many times. He's thick.
Yeah, he's not the kid anymore.
I saw him out at Rickwood.
That's
Still a
fine.
He
beast.
did sign my son's baseball, so we will always be appreciative of that. But yeah, I don't think you're running fast break with the kid. But you know,
What ain't like in a celebrity like slam dunk contest back in the day?
no, he could play. He could play.
Yeah,
Like legit play.
Yeah, back in the day.
Like no joke.
Super athletic.
Yeah, like me. You
Big
can look
time.
and tell that.
You asked teams that were disappointing, Damian. I did want to throw in
What?
just for fun.
You can look and tell that he could play. Can you not?
I didn't say anything. I don't know why you got to get defensive.
I'm not offended or defensive.
correct. Yeah,
Right.
but
You
one
can
of
look-
us is a Reds fan and in his feelings right now.
Yeah.
Speaking
Not
of
at all.
speaking of defense, though, team that was disappointed in the WNBA. I know you guys saw this. You watched this. The New York,
Liberty.
they won the championship.
Mm-hmm. Controversial
They
fashion.
won. Well,
too.
we'll go back to Greg yesterday. They won the thing.
Yeah.
And finished 32-8, which is great. 67-62 over the Minnesota.
Links.
Wow, you two are really into it.
I may or may not have watched a little bit.
They shot 30% from the floor in the championship clinching game.
From 3?
No,
Nah,
from the floor, Greg, 22 of 72.
Shoot more, score more.
Well,
the
actually,
line?
Minnesota did. Minnesota was 26 of 70.
Yeah.
They shot 37%.
Wow.
From the three-point line, by the way, New York went 2 of 23.
Oh my goodness. How do they win?
This is actually not bad box score today. This is championship clinching box score we're doing
Look,
right
do
now.
we remember what Roethlisberger did in them Super Bowls? No, we just remember that he won.
That's it. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I don't care about stats.
At all.
Get the
I
dub.
remember a certain toe touch catch in the corner of the end zone was a pretty good toss.
Wasn't bad.
Minnesota 3 of 19 from 3.
Happens.
Does it?
It does.
Okay. But you're right, Greg. New York was solid from the free throw line, 21 of 25. So
There you go.
That's, where
That's
got
how they won.
That's how they
Boom.
got their points. Yeah.
Although
Controversy.
25 in a championship game should seem a little lopsided.
Are you saying there's more fans in New York than there is in Minnesota?
I think he's saying the refs wanted New York to win. That's what he said.
There
That's what
probably
it sounds like.
There was a
I mean, they want Miami to win. We've seen that.
Is there more growth potential in New York or Minnesota as far as basketball?
Well, New York's never had one, and this would have been Minnesota's like 11th.
right.
It's weird.
The Lynx been running the WNBA for a while.
I'm sorry.
They have been running the WNBA for a while.
Kind of have.
They really have.
I believe you. I'm not
is
pushing
the-
back.
If they
No,
would have won,
I was
they would've been
actually
like their
just
fifth-
dumbfounded that you knew that
Yeah.
and the confidence in which you stated it. But,
Absolutely.
yeah. No, I'm not arguing.
That's some real hoopers. Maya Moore used to be a Lynx, man.
I'm sorry?
Maya Moore from UConn. Real hooper.
What did you call her?
Maya Moore.
A Lynx?
Yeah, Minnesota Lynx.
I hadn't heard that.
Minnesota Lynx.
So when you are an individual,
Are you just grinding the tape, or are you just like a casual
You're-
viewer?
Casual,
or-
yeah, like if
It
it's
doesn't
on,
sound like it. It sounds like
if you're an
in.
individual member of said team, are you a link?
No, the actual animal is a lynx. So, yeah, she's a lynx. Is she not?
When multiple members of team are walking down the hall.
I don't know the plural
Here
term
come
of
the
lynx,
what?
like-
Here come the what?
The lynxes,
Lynxy.
lynx eye.
Like, no. What's the plural term for lynx?
I do not know.
What is the
Well,
lynx?
it's an
I
X,
don't know.
so it
you
should
keep
be
asking me that
ADS.
question. I don't have an answer for
I
it.
want to know. I want to know the singular term.
Lynx. Is it not?
Is it link?
Lynx. It's an act like the lynx cat. Lynx.
Use it in a sentence.
A lynx is any four extant species within a
That
medium-sized
didn't work, by the
wild
way.
cat.
Whatever that was.
All
you
right,
swung
go
and
ahead.
missed.
Lynx.
Go ahead and use it in a sentence one more time. Language of origin.
Rob Deere right there. Swing and miss.
Canada.
It's Canadian. That's the language of origin.
Sure. Lynx Canadius. Canada's, whatever it is.
Whew. Like you're not helping your cause right
No.
now.
Mm-mm.
And we wonder why Birmingham Southern had to shut its
Whoa,
doors.
don't
my
go
God.
there.
What?
That's too much.
It could be Maplesville. Hold on now.
It could
It
be
may not be Birmingham
Maplesville.
Southern. Come on now.
In all seriousness, I don't think I have the answer to any of these questions either, so I can't really say a whole lot.
Well, to be fair, when Kyle Filipowski and Jordan Clarkson walked down the hall, the Utah Jazz, but if one of them walks down, what's that? Utah J?
Yes, Jays.
Jordan Clarkson.
Okay.
Here come the,
You have
here
to
come the
refer to them
Jazzes.
just to, here come the Jazzies.
Jazz is coming. Remember we talked about how you watch.
Okay,
Oh boy,
I had a
here we
buddy
go.
that actually tweeted this. The plural of lynx is lynx. Lynx is a group of baby lynx is called a litter.
A litter of lynx.
But they got a litter championship.
and the
I feel
individual
like,
cats
I feel
in
like
the
all
litter,
of these are grown, but I mean I don't.
and the individual cats in the litter are called kittens. That makes sense to me. So finally, one thing that makes sense to me. I think my favorite part of this whole interaction was when we asked him for language of origin. He said Canada.
Does that not count as a language?
Well, I don't know. Do you speak Canadian? I mean, is that? I don't know.
Damien might. We were talking about how you watch
A?
NFL in Europe. Remember we had that whole conversation?
Yes.
This is still a real thing, by the way. DAZN is launching NFL Travel Pass, which will allow you to watch
You can watch it on
NFL
a
games
plane?
overseas.
Oh,
On a plane. I feel
Allow you
could just
to?
go to CBS or Fox if you wanted to, or ESPN on Monday nights, and you could watch it there and get that going.
I'm
All
in a
right.
dark place now with this lynxes thing.
How many members of the Lynx can you name, Damien?
Nafisa. It's Nafisa Collier, right?
I probably couldn't tell you.
Well, hold on. You went from super confident knowing everything about the league to now.
No, I
you
just
know,
I
now
knew they
you're
had won
pretending like
multiple
now you're
championships.
Maya
getting-
Moore.
Don't get cool
She don't
on
play
us
anymore.
now.
She don't play anymore.
So they just won the championship, though, or they just lost in the
They just
championship
lost,
game. Yeah.
So you tell me you watched the championship game and cannot tell me one member of the team?
No, it was just like I would see it, but it wasn't like I was locked in on it.
How many full WNBA games have you watched in your young life?
Las Vegas Aces. Who did they play in the championship? I might have been the Liberty. Now I think about it. 2023 or 22. I saw them close that one out.
You watched the whole thing?
I watched a good bit of it.
There you go.
Like the whole series?
Nah, I think it was game 3. It
This was
game
a Kelsey
3, 'cause-
Plum thing, right?
Yes, and
Okay,
Asia
now
Wilson.
I get it. So
And Asia
essentially, WNBA to you.
Is what
I mean,
was on
Becky Hammon's a good-
CBS, a certain fashion show on CBS like a week or so ago.
Lord no.
Oh yeah, that's back, right?
Yeah.
The
Not many things get canceled and come back this
No,
day and
no.
age. It's good to see that thing bounce back. I didn't watch it, but
Of course
my
not.
wife
no.
told me it was on.
Yeah.
more games consumed. Damien, WNBA games, or Cole's old co-host games not involving Alabama.
I don't think Landrum watches that many Alabama games.
Here's the best part.
I just don't care today.
Here's the best
We're just
part.
at that point of the
No,
year.
no, no,
I
no,
just
no.
don't care.
I have to say this. The best part of that is it works for multiple individuals.
Yeah. It's Pat.
We should move on.
Just close your computer screen. You'll be fine.
How did we get down this rabbit hole?
Top 3.
Oh, is it top 3?
Mm-hmm.
What was the top 3 again?
Disappointed sports teams.
How do we get?
I went the Liberty shot 30% and won the championship.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
3 of 37 from 3 and won a title. Yeah, that was disappointing for me, even though I hardly knew it happened.
I got to be honest with you. I have consumed not full games, but I have consumed more minutes of WNBA this year. I was very intrigued by how Caitlin Clark would fare early on. So I remember a couple times, and Vince was into it too. So I was like, all right, we'll watch sports. Early on in the season, I did watch a couple of her games, and she was getting worked. I was like, this is never going to work out. Like she's not going to be that. She's not going to be that person that just takes this league to the next level. Boy, nailed that one. I think she figured it out, right? Because she was getting harassed early. I mean, harassed with like super physical fouls.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't find the jump shot, was tentative. And then sure enough, fast forward in the year, she's all WNBA first team. And
Where do you think she finished scoring in the entire league?
I don't know if she led the league in scoring, but I think she had the most 3-pointers.
I will tell you, she did not lead in scoring.
She
11th.
No.
Second?
No.
She had the most threes.
What's she, 15?
And this may be telling.
She was 7th in the league in scoring. She led the league in 3-pointers made, 3.1 per game.
And then what about assists? Didn't she lead the league in assists?
Assists per game, 8.4 per game, yes.
Okay.
By a pretty wide margin.
Let's ride.
It just tells me she's the only one that passes. Can
Not
you
a
name
ball hog.
any of the 6 players that finished ahead of her in scoring per game average?
INSQ.
Asia Wilson.
Right behind her.
Asia Wilson.
She led the league in scoring.
Yeah.
Collier.
By a pretty big margin.
Collier.
Brianna Stewart.
Yes. Collier 5th, Stewart 4th.
Let's go.
Who knew we were a WNBA show?
Let's stay hot. We got this. Hang on. We can do it. How many more are we missing? 2?
Yeah. Oh, no. 3. Because Mitchell was one behind her. Or Ionescu, I'm sorry, 2 behind her.
Deanna Carter.
The country singer?
No, I think she went to Auburn actually and plays for Bonner. Yeah, Bonner.
That one too. No, she was 21st.
Yeah.
So much for being a WNBA.
INSQ.
Did Taurasi have more? Did Taurasi have more?
No, she's 22nd.
Okay.
Arike Ogunbowale was second. Kalia Copper, third. You mentioned Brianna Stewart. Nafisa Collier.
Yeah, we got that one.
And you missed Jewel Lloyd.
I don't know her.
No relation to Jewel the singer.
Or Christopher Lloyd.
Correct. Or Marshawn. So there you go.
That's a throwback. That's a throwback.
Your WNBA update of the day. Right there.
Marshall.
There it is.
Speaking of Marshawn, he's in a new movie coming up. He plays a hitman. Actually,
Really?
looks pretty good. Yeah.
Who's the star?
Keiki Kwan, who was Data in.
We should play this
the
game.
Goonies.
Actor or WNBA player? You throw him out to us. K. Kwan. I wouldn't have known either way.
Was
Keiki
in
Kwan.
Links or Links or actor. You decide.
I'll
Who
send
else
y'all
is
the
in it?
trailer.
Who
Actually,
else?
it looks pretty good.
Anyone in it I've heard of
Marshawn Lynch.
other than him, an actual actor or actress.
Probably not.
There you go.
I got to be honest. I'm really curious to see, out of just maybe as a consumer, like an evaluator of sports business, I will be really curious to see what goes down with this WNBA collective bargaining agreement thing. Because they just opted out, right? Did you see this?
No.
Okay, they just opted out of their deal, which they have now already, I think, agreed to a new television rights deal that's kind of like triple what it's been in the past. And I'm really curious the trickle down that we could see as far as player salaries and like how quickly they can get this thing resolved. It is interesting. Like if you're in, like as a sports business nerd, I'm kind of into it. So I'll be really curious. I will be paying more attention to that than I probably ever have the WNBA in the past. So something worth watching.
So they can all be mad at her, but Caitlin Clark, the Dale Earnhardt of WNBA,
Game changer.
next on First Take.
She's a game changer.
Not
Yeah,
wearing
yeah.
the right
But
attire.
no, but
to be that.
Earnhardt was the one who is credited most for bringing a large mass of people to NASCAR, correct? Like that were outside of the
Feels
inner
that way.
circle.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I mean, you had your diehards, but that was when I think and maybe it was Earnhardt Gordon against one another.
Yeah.
That's when kind of like Sosa McGuire brought the people back. Like that was not that they were sort of, I mean, they would literally stop and hug each other during home run
Oh,
tracks,
yeah,
which was
yeah.
insanity to me. I like, you're on the other team,
And they're rivals.
same division.
It's like Rock and Stone Cold. It brought WWF back.
They had some help.
Well, yeah.
I mean, Mankind got thrown through the top of the hill in a
Oh, that's
cell.
true, right.
Yeah.
DX
that
was out
helped
here
a lot.
riding tanks.
They
but,
were.
Yeah.
They were.
Still riding
China was
tanks?
doing deadlifts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot going on there.
Attitude era.
Sable.
Yeah.
Sable.
Speaking of leaving and coming back, yeah. Sued who you worked for, then came back.
I didn't consume a lot of wrestling, but I knew Sable.
Sonny as well.
I know John did too.
Sonny underrated.
Oh, yeah.
Met Sonny at WrestleMania 30 with Conrad.
Really?
Really?
You wouldn't have recognized her.
Probably not.
Shocking.
It was disappointing. But let me just say, no, I'm not going to say it.
Sonny and Sable better than Sonny and Cher?
Mm-hmm.
Probably. Stacy Keebler.
Better than all of them.
Yeah.
You just got me up.
Yeah, I'm
I shouldn't
familiar
have
with
done
her
that.
game.
See, now you're getting me to do things I
I'm familiar
shouldn't
with
do.
her game.
Haney,
You-
don't check the Google searches.
Hey, John, you watched the McMahon documentary?
I finished it the other day. Yeah.
Is it worth it?
Yeah, because there's some things that I didn't, it's a good number that I didn't remember. Like I forgot about the steroid lawsuit, like right before it hit the fan. I forgot about all that.
You watched it,
And
Damien?
I started episode 1,
How many episodes?
6.
6.
Get to that in March.
But it's not,
Put that on my list.
Let's put it on the list.
it's not all 90s nostalgia.
I asked my
Right.
wife the other day. She's like, she'll put her shows on her phone while she's doing dishes or whatever, or like cleaning stuff, and so she'll have her headphones in. I was like, what show you been watching? And she rattled off like 11. She's like, this on Apple TV Plus, this on Netflix, this on Netflix, and I was like, man, I'm really missing out. Like I haven't watched a single thing, none of it. And she's just over there grinding the tape on everything not football. Oh well. Speaking of football, we will get back to it. I promise. We got off the rails on that segment, but we will return.
No.
Yes, we did.
I thought it felt good.
We're going to move on to football, though, in just a moment. But if you're looking to move out of your house, Greg, who should you call?
Libby Crocker Movie Service are a local company owned by an Iraq War veteran, Eric Crocker. Crocker believes in hiring movies you can trust to complete full background checks and run drug tests on every single employee. These are good guys, and you can trust them in your home. Whether you need your whole home packed to move your company headquarters, moved across country, or you just want them to come rearrange a living room, they got you covered. They also do deliveries for furniture that you purchase and need to get to your home. So call or visit them online today for a free quote. The website is crockermovieservices.com. It's crockermovieservices.com. Support your veterans by choosing Crocker Movie Services for your next move.
All right, Taylor McGregor was on the call for Auburn, Missouri. We'll talk to her in our next segment after we take a break. After that, I mentioned earlier, there's something with the Alabama offense from Tennessee that I want to discuss with Greg. And I want you to start thinking about who's the worst team in the SEC. We'll have that discussion later this hour as well. Next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Kubelik in the morning. We were a little bit late getting to Taylor McGregor of ESPN. Going to have her hop on the show now, Buyers Right Hotline. Also see her doing, do they call baseball sideline reporter sideline? Because you're not technically, you're in the dugout, in the stands, like you sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game, like you're kind of everywhere.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a different role. They call me more of a field reporter, but whatever. I'll respond to anything, Cole.
Okay. What was the feel for you and your crew after meeting with both teams going into this Auburn, Missouri game last week?
Yeah, I think for Mizzou, it was very clear that Texas A&M loss was a shock. They believed they were going to go into Texas A&M, and I think they really believed they were going to win. And some of the things that showed up were a surprise, and they needed to address them and get them fixed. I know the defensive line and the stopping the run, they felt they had a really good shot to do that, and then they ended up allowing 236 yards on the ground. And offensively, they could never get into any sort of rhythm. Now, some of that had to do with penalties and a bunch of different stuff, but I think they were disappointed and really were looking to get back into SEC play against Auburn and make things right. As for Auburn, I had a little bit of a different sense that they feel like their season should be completely different if you did not have the turnovers and some of the penalties that we've seen show up. I think Hugh Freeze has a lot of confidence, especially in the young players on his roster. And he's just waiting for the chance to finally get a win and maybe build upon that. So kind of came in with maybe some differences in mindset. Like Mizzou was really trying to get back to SEC play and get a win, and Auburn was trying to just figure out some of the issues that they've had turning the ball over. They felt like not turning the ball over against Georgia was a positive step, but then of course it showed up again on Saturday. So that was the feeling we kind of had after meeting with coaches.
I think when you look at their team, it doesn't appear like there's a disconnect. I mean, I get the sense that the buy-in's good. I just feel like the execution in critical moments has been really disappointing. So when you've kind of been around them and you watch the interaction on the sideline, what's the interaction on the sideline like?
With Auburn, are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, with Auburn, it was interesting. I didn't sense a lot of frustration like I almost expected to after the fumble and turnovers and penalties that we saw. I think what I saw, and I was actually pleasantly surprised by, were some teaching moments, especially with some of the young receivers. And I'll tell you what, like I did see a lot of athleticism show up in I was super impressed with Malcolm Simmons. Obviously, Lambert Smith has been doing it all year, and he's kind of been the veteran. But I was really impressed by the way he led some of the young guys, and it felt like utilized those moments as teaching moments. So it was an interesting dynamic on the field. Now, I will say I spent a lot of time over there in the third quarter because I was watching injuries in the first half with Mizzou, but in the third quarter is when Auburn started to take a lead. And I felt at that point they were going to win the game. So maybe that was part of it, is they had kind of turned some of that maybe negative energy into positivity on the field, and they were starting to get momentum. But really impressed by Keandre Lambert-Smith and what he's doing with that young group of receivers. That's something I can say.
Taylor McGregor of ESPN joining us on the Buyers Right Hotline on sideline for Auburn at Missouri over the weekend. You mentioned the Missouri sideline because of injuries. Can you just kind of take us through your lens of that happening, how it happened, the comeback, the whole thing?
Yeah, it was wild. So it was second possession of the game. He gets injured, goes into the locker room. And so I immediately go as far into the locker room as I'm allowed to go, trying to see what happened. A bunch of trainers follow him in there, and I'm standing over in that area for maybe 5 minutes. And then trainers come back out and they're acting nonchalant. And the team doctor says to the radio guy, and I'm standing right there, all good, ankle injury. They're taping it back up. He'll be out soon. And I was like, great. That's all the information I need to know. So I go and I report exactly that of, they're taping up the ankle right now, and he should be coming out soon. Or the expectation is that he'll be returning soon. And then time goes by and he's not back out. And so then I'm like, okay. So I'm calling their SID. I'm going up to the trainer on the sideline, which I'm really not supposed to do, but I'm just trying to get information. And everybody's like, he's still being evaluated. He's still being evaluated. And so I'm like, okay. And then I learned that he wasn't even in the training room. So then I started getting a little worried, like, well, where is he then? I don't know what that means. All I know he's not in the training room. So then I go back on and give an update of that, we said the expectation was for him to return shortly, and now they say they're still evaluating him, and they'll tell us more at halftime. So then at halftime, I talked to Eli Drinkwitz, and he says that he's doubtful to return. So then I report that. Then at the end of the third quarter, here comes Brady Cook. And I will say, and I interviewed him after the game, and I asked him what he learned about his team. And he was like, I learned that my leadership means something. And I can say I felt this sideline completely change when he got back out there. I mean, at that point when he returned, Auburn was up 2 scores. And again, I mentioned it earlier in this call. I felt Auburn was going to win the game at that point. It seemed like their offense was getting into a little bit of a rhythm. Their defense played well. And so I was like, Auburn's going to win this game. And then here comes Brady Cook. And all of a sudden the energy just completely changes. I mean, he was jacked up on the sideline. I mean, going at everybody, like almost emotional, but in a good way, and giving everybody hugs, saying, I'm fine, let's go do this. We only need 2 touchdowns. And then he comes in with a minute left in the third quarter and leads his team to a victory. So it was quite a back and forth day. And then we eventually find out after the game that he went to the hospital to get an MRI on that ankle. So that was why he was not in the training room. I was never given that information in game. I just found that out afterwards. But yeah, it was one of those wild days when it comes to trying to figure out an injury, for sure.
Very strange. I can only imagine how dramatic that must have felt on the sideline, trying to get some conclusive evidence of what's going on and being unable to do so. It's a thankless job what you guys do. We appreciate you trying as hard as you can to get that information and be the eyes and ears for everybody there on the sideline. Looking at this Missouri team now moving into the Bama game this week, I mean, they are really beat up. Nate Noel's hurt. Brady Cook's hurt. Luther Burden hasn't been involved. I mean, what does Missouri have going for it that you think can be beneficial against the Tide this week?
Yeah, it's a great question. Because, again, I felt Auburn was going to win that game in the third quarter because with their backup, Drew Pine, I mean, they were not doing anything offensively. I would hope that Marcus Carroll could step up at running back. I mean, Nate Noel had been the guy, but I think they're still sort of trying to figure out that position, and maybe they can rely more on Marcus Carroll. They need more guys at receiver to step up, and I've been led to believe that Luther Burden's back issue comes and goes. So if there's anything good that could happen, maybe it's that he is much healthier towards the weekend because they need him. I mean, they utilize him in so many different ways, and I think without him, you saw this offense really struggle over the weekend. Their defense is interesting to me as well because they've had some injuries on that front. I think Tristan Newsome had been injured. He looked decent in practice all last week. They're thin and young in the secondary. But I would say, and I know I mentioned this earlier on the call, I would say the biggest thing for them was stopping the run against A&M. They were unable to do so. And I felt they did a pretty good job of that against Auburn. We were told that Auburn was really going to try to feed the ball to Jarquez Hunter, and they were able to slow that down relatively well. So you're right. I mean, the injuries are interesting to me. You have to get Luther Burden healthy, and I think he has a real shot to do that. I feel like maybe an extra week, and maybe that's why they didn't utilize him as much against Auburn. they knew it was coming. I'm not sure, but if they can get him healthy, that's an important part of their offense.
Taylor McGregor joining us on the Buyers Right Hotline was on sideline for Auburn at Missouri. You can't speak to after this game, obviously, because you haven't been around the team. But going in and during the game, Greg kind of asked you about the demeanor of the Auburn team on the sideline. Where did you guys feel like this team was sort of mentally and emotionally? I mean, there's not a lot to play for from a end of the year goal perspective anymore. You still want to try to get to the postseason. We understand that, but just what did you feel like just of kind of where the team is right now?
Yeah, I would say I mentioned it. It's trying to mentor some of these younger players. And I will give credit to Keandre Lambert-Smith. I felt like I saw him do that, really explaining things to some of the younger guys on the sideline. I thought Malcolm Simmons, we were told about how much of a dynamic playmaker this kid could be and will be in this league. And I thought you saw that show up a little bit on Saturday. So I'm excited about his future. Him and Keandre were talking almost the entire game on the sideline. I mean, Cam Coleman right there as well. So I think, again, just trying to develop some of these young players that Hugh Freeze has, made it pretty clear he wants to develop this team out of high school. And with that comes, some growth that has to be done at the collegiate level. And so utilizing this time to get experience for those younger players, hopefully next year does not go the way that it's gone this year. I would say on the back end as well, getting some of the young guys in the secondary opportunities to play will be important. So that was my biggest takeaway, is trying not to let the rest of the season go to waste, knowing that you have a lot of these young players who will hopefully be back next year. You never know with the portal, but get them experience and, try to utilize these last few games to do just that.
Absolutely. Taylor, thanks for the time. We appreciate it. Appreciate you moving days as well, some scheduling conflicts, but always good to catch up. Look forward to doing it again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great to talk to you guys. And Greg, you were awesome on the call on Saturday. Loved watching that game. It looked electric.
No, I appreciate it. It was a fun game.
The second person to say that this week.
It was a great game. A lot of energy.
Right.
It looked like
right there.
Yeah, the
I was just
stadium
over there,
looked
Norman.
insane.
Don't worry
So
about it.
have a good one, guys. Talk to you later.
Thanks,
ya.
Taylor.
Y'all were on at the same time.
Just saying. Second guest this week. Greg, you're so good at your job.
Second
Calling
guest.
games.
You booked, right?
They were on at the same time.
Not anymore.
They were calling
I did
games
last
against
time.
each other.
Mm-hmm.
You guys were you hated each other last. You hated Dusty, and Dusty hated you, and Taylor hated Jordan.
I think Dustin hated me because of how Oklahoma's offense was.
When you're up against each other, you're competitors.
By the way, Brent Venables announcing that Jackson Arnold will be the starting quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
No surprise there.
Should
right?
work.
Yeah. I think he's the better option. But I do not envy Joe John Finley taking over that offense.
No.
Yeah, because people are going to expect, new play caller is just going to look better, right?
He was the problem.
Yes. Don't think I don't have a lot of expectations, and this has nothing to do with Joe John, that all of a sudden that thing's going to turn around. Got to get some people blocked first. Catch some passes. Make a guy miss. All of that. Not throw the wrong color jersey. Then we can start talking about maybe some yards and first downs.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we'll see how that one goes.
It's amazing how that works, isn't it?
It is. It is interesting.
It's almost like the players matter and not just the plays.
A little bit. A little bit.
You could put you, me, and Saber and Damian out there. And if you give us good schemes, we could wear out the Baltimore Ravens.
Depends on who's calling it.
Can't spell those
That's it.
players without
That's it.
plays.
Exactly.
It's all about the plays.
Well, there are multiple plays that can be run at Game Day Men's Health. They have a lot of different options to help you feel better. If you're lacking sleep, lacking energy, if you're on edge, it could be the effects of low testosterone. They got programs that can help you with that. Weight loss, multiple weight loss programs they can get you in on as well. At Game Day Men's Health. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com right now. Just schedule your free consultation. This is easy. You schedule that. It doesn't cost anything. PSA test, testosterone test for free. Now you're going to have a baseline of where you are health-wise. And then Game Day Men's Health is going to see what they can do for you. They're going to offer those up. No pressure. And it's a locker room environment. Great people. No stress. And they'll let you know what they have. And there's also a minimal upfront cost for the programs that they offer. So if you're looking to lose some weight, or if you're just feeling rough, or you're not getting good sleep, there could be something at Game Day Men's Health that could help you feel better. And we know holiday season right around the corner. Let's go ahead and start get that thing in gear now. Start getting ready today. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com. You can save 10% on any program they offer by mentioning Cube, by the way. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Schedule that free consultation today. When we come back, there is a portion of the Alabama offensive operation I would like to speak to Greg about, specifically from the Tennessee game. And then we will discuss who is the worst team in the Southeastern Conference. Next on Jocks 94.5. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Kublik in the morning. I want to talk to Greg about part of the operation of the Alabama offense in the Tennessee game. You would agree, Greg, being there, calling it in person, noise had a lot. It was very impactful for just Alabama's operation on offense.
Yes.
There were multiple plays where it was obvious that communication didn't happen, different guys coming off the ball at different times. And I think, Greg, that Tennessee got a beat on, I don't want to say the snap count, because when you're in silent in gun, there is no snap count. And people can say, oh, the clap is louder than anything you can verbalize. I don't think in that situation you can use the clap.
You're saying that they got a beat on the snap count when you see James Pierce rip off the edge as fast as he did.
So here's my problem with that.
In the second to last drive of the game to end that drive. Like, yeah, I think they got a beat on the snap count.
Listen, I played football a long time ago, okay? Like
Yeah.
I didn't, there's a lot of things that are very different now than when I played. But I looked through my legs and I got the leg lift from the quarterback, and that's how I knew to snap the football.
Right.
I could get Kendall Simmons, Hart McGarry, Colin Sears, Mike Pasillo, Tim Castro. I could get even on the phone right now and talk about how many times we would come out of the huddle and I would say, hey, hold your water. Hold your water.
Yes.
And it was gun. Anytime it was on gun, we didn't have to, there was no count. So it wasn't on 1, 2, 3. It wasn't like it was on ball movement. Now I would say go when I snapped the ball.
Yeah.
To try to verbalize it a little bit. But like we had to game that. And there was other times we'd come out of the huddle and I'd be like, get ready to go.
Yes.
And they knew what that meant. They knew that it was going to be head comes up, bam, ball snap right away.
Right.
And so I was like, hey, I'm going to give one. I'm going to give one. And that means that I would say, go. Like I would normally, and listen, I'm not going to lie. I would do a little head bob with it. You know, I'd be like, go. Like, so it looked like I was getting ready to snap the ball. I tried to draw people off sides. How could Brailsford not know in this game to vary that a little bit? Like going back and watching it, it was almost the same mechanics every time.
Shouldn't that be on the quarterback though? Like we had, so like all of our,
I would tell our quarterback. I would tell Ben or whoever it was.
So you would run it.
Just that part when it was silent. I would say, I'm going to hold it. And there were times when he would be like, Q, pass rush, and he's like, hold it.
Yeah.
Hold it. Or if we got out of the huddle quick, he'd be like, hold this.
I would be fine with the center running that if we weren't flirting with delay a game 7 times.
That's okay.
That's the only thing that would be like problematic.
I mean, if that was the case, they knew I was just going to snap as quick as I could.
Well, if you're looking at the shot clock, then hey, that's great. One more thing off my plate, but I don't know. That's the only thing that would concern me about delegating that responsibility. Like I was in charge of all of it. So So on 1, on 2, on first color, on second color, like those are your normal snap counts.
Right.
But
first sound.
Yeah. First sound, set hot, blue 80, blue. That's second color. Like set hot, blue, first color. Like that's the way you got your Omahas, all that. Silent was uno, dos, tres. There were only 3 variations. So on 1 head bob was uno, 2 head bobs was dos. And then on the occasional 3 head bobs would be trace.
Yeah.
So that was pretty much it. No, and there's a little more variety to it. I've seen Ole Miss use it where it's a slight like a slight hesitation just to draw them off sides, especially on like 3rd and 8 to make it 3rd and 3. Seen that a bunch, but that's kind of next level.
And I didn't notice on film, sometimes when it's that loud, did they try to run like a purple or anything at all to like get them off, like a freeze play to get them off sides?
No,
I didn't see any of that either.
No freeze plays, no.
And that's one, listen, if you're an Alabama fan, the good news is that can easily be repaired or altered. That's not hard to change up. And think like that staff, I don't know how many of them have been to Knoxville. I know Brailsford's never played in Knoxville, but Tyler Booker and those guys have, and you feel like that would have been a conversation of like, hey man, I know I'm 11 inches from you. You won't be able to hear me. It's not going to happen. Like there was no communication in Knoxville with us. 0. Especially when Deion Grant intercepts the first play of the game and runs it back for an interception for touchdown, like a pick 6 on the first play on offense. Like, you don't hear anything after that. But it was just something I picked up, Greg, of the operation of the offense in that game. The mechanics from the center on shotgun snaps when you knew it was silent, it felt the same every time. And if those D linemen should have had a beat on that, because you get that 4 or 5 times in a row, and all of a sudden it's like, all right, here we go. Like, I'm about to tee off. And like you said, a couple of those guys had really good jumps in that game.
Really good, like outrageously good, to the point where it's like a photo finish. Is he offsides or is he not? And I do think on the one where James Pierce has come off the right side, like it was, I think if had he thrown the flag, I would have understood it. Since he held on the flag, I understood it. You know what I mean? Like there were some that were that close. So when you see it timed up like that, it's of significant concern.
Well, and I can tell you from our game Saturday morning, there was a play, there was a flag, and Shane Beamer was furious. And the flag appeared to be on Oklahoma. And Tom was like, he's like, this looks like it's going to be offsides on Oklahoma. And I was like, yeah, but he's mad because he knew they had him. And that was a free play. And they didn't snap the ball. And they got a veteran center. So I was like, Shane wanted the free play. I know why he's mad, because you had him right there. And if you get him, and even if it just ends up in a flag and you don't get that free play, you know you're probably not going to get it again. Yeah. Rarely do you get people over and over and over with that. So, but I think we ran freeze at least every other game. If we had it in always. Yeah. But I mean, anybody who had any D line that had any sort of get off, especially if you were an attacking front, north and south, like we were going to try to get you once or twice a game.
Yeah.
And like you said, you can vary the snap count to where we try to get you to jump.
Sure.
And then if you have an older center, I could just snap it and know that I had you.
Right.
But that was just one of the weird operational things that I saw from Alabama's offense. I do think it can be repaired. I do think it can get better. But obviously something that we're going to have to see if they can change that moving forward.
Well, yeah, another thing too, like, I mean, these things, we had so many different, we had freeze, we had Alaska, we had Canada, like we had multiple different, like cold weather. It was the cold weather group, right? And those all meant something different. Like, hey, if we have Alaska, then I have the opportunity to check Alaska, which is a freeze, until I see a potential void and I can QB sneak it. You know what I mean? Like, so there's different elements of that, but yeah, you can still yardage that way. I mean, the problem is, and this is the next level, and like, I know we're tight on a break here, but like, people just think these things are understood. It's a new system. It's new coaches. It's the first time Kalen DeBoer has ever been in Neyland Stadium. Like, I think these are all learning experiences for the staff and for many of the players. Several of which, especially in the back end defensively, have never been to Neyland Stadium, had never played in an environment that is that loud. Think about the most hostile environment a lot of these guys have ever played in.
Yeah.
That was by far the most hostile environment.
Had to be.
So, and that includes Jalen Milroe. What's the toughest environment he played in? Jordan Hare last year?
Yeah, and Ryan Williams and Mbakwe and a couple of others.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, I mean, yeah, there are some guys that have played in Knoxville before and played in some other places like Jordan Hare Stadium, but that one, that place was on tilt. I mean, it was, that had to be just insane, but it can be repaired, and that's the good news.
It's fixable. It's easily fixable.
A lot of your issues could be fixable with your CBD store. If you have arthritis, anxiety, if your pet does, your CBD store has helped multiple pets in my household with arthritis be able to get up and down the stairs a little bit better. They can help yours also. Better night's sleep. Weight loss, the Trim by SunMed is in stock now at your CBD store, largest brick and mortar CBD retailer in the world. 4 locations, Highway 280 by Bailey Brothers, 150 by the Cajun Cleaver, Trustful just off 459, and now downtown in 5 Points. Your CBD store where good health hits home. Who's the worst team in the SEC? We'll debate it next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Kublik in the morning. Pretty easy question. Who is this?
This is Drowning Pool with the song Step Up.
Which is what all these teams we're about to talk about need to do.
Time to step up.
Step their games up. You can step your jewelry game up at Bromberg's, though.
Yeah, you can. The best, the very best. I don't know what else to tell you. There's a reason why they've been around for 200 years or thereabouts, opening their doors for the first time in 1836. You can enjoy that one-of-a-kind luxury shopping experience that you'll only find at Bromberg's. Or also today, tomorrow, it's not Thursday, feels like Thursday, but tomorrow you'll have the Seiko watch event from the Mountain Brook store. It's 5 to 8 p.m. So you can have a Japanese whiskey tasting, small bites, while discovering Seiko's finest timepieces, including new and limited edition watches. Please RSVP, though, with your sales associate or contact@brombergs.com. So go and find that special one-of-a-kind piece for the important people and the people that you love in your life. And one of their 2 locations in Mountain Brook Village and the Summit, or you can shop online at brombergs.com.
I'm going to be honest. We'll talk worst team in the SEC on the other side of the break. You can get yours
Saying
ready.
we can't do it in 2 minutes?
800-239-9569. We don't even have 2 minutes. 800-239-WJOX. You want to get in, text in 205-834-9450. Every time you do that read, I try to imagine what Bromberg's was selling in 1894. Like
Besides
the,
the
they
best
were
and fine
60
jewelry.
years.
the Hope Diamond, like what?
The heart of the ocean.
The pocket watches, remember? Before that?
How much do you think it costs? Like $3?
Monocles?
Oh yeah, you get your engagement ring for $1.75, and it's
Heck
big.
yeah.
It'll last. Hey, it'll last for a while.
I did.
About to say.
Did the diamonds still have dirt in them and stuff? Like,
3 months salary.
Okay.
Yeah. 3 months salary. Okay, fine. I'll take that one there, Sonny, for 15 cents.
Did you go in and trade your gold for the jewelry that you wanted? Like you had your little the brown sack with the brown the tie on the top, and
Oh,
you
yeah.
dropped it on the counter and
Just
said,
drop it.
"Ching! I'd like that Seiko." What's that?
I got 4 sack of potatoes. What will that get me?
The band for the Seiko.
1836.
That's all I think about every time you do that read. All right, we'll talk worst team in the SEC right after this on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Kubelik in the morning. College football tonight. Liberty undefeated at Kennesaw State. No wins on the season. 6 o'clock CBS Sports Network. MTSU at Jack State. 6:30 tonight on ESPN2. Troy quarterback Goose Crowder out for the year. So tough blow there for the Trojans. He will not be able to go anymore. Wanted to talk about the Southeastern Conference, though, because it's an interesting debate. We were talking Oregon during the break of, is this really a team that we think can win a national championship? And Greg, you guys did a halftime show on the college football playoff last night and taking a look at, obviously right now people will take the AP poll, lay it out to how it would look.
Right.
And then, you're going to get Boise, who wouldn't be in your top 12, who would be in their ranked 17th. But you start going through and say, all right, what teams do I have a ton of confidence in winning a national title? There's not that many.
No.
And we'll come back to that later this hour. But specifically in the Southeastern Conference, it's easy to look at the top of the standings and say, all right, one of these three teams, best team in the league. I actually think that could even be an interesting debate, though, because people are just going to leave Texas A&M out of it, and maybe they should be in that debate. People
You really
will
think
leave
they
LSU.
would?
I think they would leave either A&M or LSU out. Yes. If you're talking best team in the league, most people are going to give you Georgia right out of the gate. Some people are going to say it still could be Texas. And then I think you'll have some folks throw Tennessee in. And
But
then
Bama.
Nah.
There will be some
Haters.
still out there. There will be. And then I think some people are going to throw in either A&M or LSU, probably not both in that discussion. But nonetheless, the league standings at the bottom. There are 2 teams winless in league play, 3 teams with 1 win in league play. So we will focus on those. I'm going to say safely we can take Ole Miss out of this discussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
As potentially the worst team in the SEC. Is everyone
Absolutely.
okay with that?
Yes.
All right, so they're going to be out. So then we will debate Oklahoma, Kentucky, Auburn, or Mississippi State. Auburn and Mississippi State have not won a game in league play. State's 1-6, Auburn's 2-5. Kentucky 1-4 in league play, 3-4 overall. Oklahoma 1-3 in league play, 4-3 overall. Is it clear to you, Greg, right now who the worst team in the SEC is?
Yes.
And that team is?
Mississippi State.
Okay. Damian, worst team in the SEC?
Mississippi State.
John?
The Auburn Tigers.
Why?
Because I feel like when they're in games, they shoot themselves in the foot as opposed to Mississippi State that fight and claw back to stay in games.
Close losses are
mind,
basically wins.
That's Nebraska you're talking
Correct,
about.
that's
right.
right.
Not, yeah.
Keep in
another
mind,
league.
though, we're talking best team, not best collection of players
Right.
or not most talented. Because I'm with John on this. Mississippi State is getting better. Now, that
Yes, they
doesn't
are.
mean they're getting closer to winning or still on par, now on par with Oklahoma, South Carolina, or Florida, but they are better than they were 4 weeks ago. I don't know if Auburn's a whole lot better than they were 4 weeks ago. I'm not saying they're worse, but
I thought it was maybe turnovers. Okay, they don't get turnovers in the game, and then they get blown out by Georgia. They
Yes.
win the turnover game against Missouri and still find a way to lose. They keep finding ways to lose, and I can't have faith in a team that keeps finding ways to lose.
Now, I'll say this, Greg, and I don't know if you've taken a hard look at it yet. It was very concerning what I saw on the field Saturday night from the Kentucky Wildcats. That did not look like a Mark Stoops coach football team. That was lackadaisical. It was not overly physical. Now, they've been making some mistakes most of the year, so that wasn't super surprising.
Correct.
And they're still trying to figure out, what the quarterback is with the offense. And I think he's dinged up. But like you said earlier in the show, everybody's dinged up right now. But if that trend continues, they will deserve to be in this discussion if they keep doing what they did Saturday night. And give Florida credit. They played hard, did some good things. They got some talent. But I think I'm with John right now. And I'll say this. I mean, how much is Oklahoma's defense pulling them ahead of this pack?
Yeah.
Because if we're just talking offense, I mean, they're right there with everybody else that we're having a discussion about. How close is Oklahoma to these other teams?
Man, I mean, I know Oklahoma has the head-to-head against Auburn, but does that feel good?
No, but they do get a little bit of an edge there. And
I agree.
Specifically with how the game went. I mean,
Like if you had to
Oklahoma
rank
won it,
them,
but-
if you're ranking the college football playoff order, right? Like Oklahoma would have to be ahead of Auburn. I get that. But if I'm ranking them on power ratings, like based on if those two teams played on a neutral site today, I'm taking Auburn all day.
Okay, let's play it this way.
This version of Oklahoma.
Right. This is our version of the playoff. And I'm not sure how we got here, but we did. Which team would you least like to play in the first round? Oklahoma, Kentucky, Auburn, or Mississippi State?
Oklahoma, Kentucky, Auburn, Mississippi State.
Yep.
The team I would least like to play?
Yes.
Is it at home?
Neutral site.
So it's not the first round. Golly.
This is our playoff, though. We make this up.
Sweet. Mac,
It's beyond like Tuesday, Wednesday night
now.
in between the other games.
Mac, is it indoor or outdoor? Two offensive guys. We can go indoor.
Coin flip.
Yeah.
Right.
December or June?
June.
You've been relegated to the spring league.
The team I would least like to play, Kentucky.
Okay. Damien?
I'd say Auburn.
John?
Oklahoma.
It's Oklahoma. A defense keep them in it.
That's what. Yeah.
And then they got playmakers over there that they've shown. And that they make you get a play on special teams, a big play on offense, and all of a sudden that defense has got you in a pickle.
I know my team's going to run the football, so
Just like La Tech did last night. You
I'll
guys
run
see
it.
that?
I'll run it right at Oklahoma. I ain't scared.
You ain't scared?
Kentucky might have a tougher time running against them.
Then Oklahoma?
Yeah.
You watched the Florida game, right?
Oh yeah, but that was a one-off. I've watched the other 6.
But it was also the latest one-off. So if we're heading down that path,
It's the
that's why it's
freshest.
concerning. That's why I brought them up because, and honestly, if you remove the Florida game, I'm not sure Kentucky's even in this discussion. But it was that concerning what I saw. It was that different what I saw in that game. So maybe it is going to be a one-off. We're not going to have to worry about it. Mississippi State is a team I feel like is trending upwards. Now, it might take them a while, but I think Van Buren's getting a little more comfortable. They have good backs. I think they have receivers that have real juice. The offensive line is playing a little bit better. Center had a really good game last week. They got a good group of tight ends. The defense was a little bit more sound this week. And I think they have figured out how to use some of their aggression to their advantage instead of just asking people to visually be, I guess, responsible a lot of the times.
Yeah.
Instead now just, okay, go do this. And it will work out a little bit better. So I think they're a more dangerous team for the last month of the season than Auburn is. I think they're a more dangerous team the last month of the season than Kentucky is right now, just because of the trend, where they're trending. Now, also, you got
to take into account.
You got to keep losing and have. That's why I asked, Taylor, like, where did you think Auburn was mentally coming into this game? Because we wondered after Georgia. All right, now it's Missouri on the road.
Yeah.
Como's not super exciting,
Right.
but they played hard. I'll give them credit for that. Well, like 95% of the team played hard. There was an offensive lineman and a safety that didn't play hard. Other than that, they were good. But are you going to be able to keep doing that and losing games? And that's the hard part, man.
I get that. But answer me this. Just playing devil's advocate for a moment. You talk about Mississippi State right now, and you assess Mississippi State. Why do you think they've been competitive the last 2 weeks?
Are you going to say because those teams don't care?
Yes, and because those teams are looking at Mississippi State saying, all right, we got a dub this week, boys. Go watch Georgia defensively from one week to the next.
That's fair, but
like, you think Mississippi State's getting anyone's best shot right now?
that's not their fault.
I'm not saying it's not. All I'm suggesting is that this is a team that, while margins appear to be closer to said top teams, a lot of teams are running vanilla concepts when they play Mississippi State.
Fair.
So it's not their fault. They're not in charge of the other team's plan when playing against them. But I think the urgency when you play against a team like Kentucky, who we've seen beat Ole Miss, I think the urgency when playing against a team like Auburn, who's had multiple teams on the ropes this year, and the sense of urgency that you'll get when playing Oklahoma is a little different from the one that you're going to get from Mississippi State right now.
And that's a great point, and that's a fair point.
I'm just
And
trying to acknowledge the realities.
I will absolutely allow that into the conversation. But at the same time, I don't think Connor Wigman had an unexceptional day. Don't know if that's even a word, but we're going to try it. Just because they thought they were going to beat Mississippi State. I think Mississippi State had something to do with that, with why he wasn't great. Now, Scorton was kind of in and out. Maybe that made a little bit of a difference too, because he was playing pretty good when he was in early. But I don't know. I think the more comfortable, a young quarterback gets, it's a freshman quarterback who was put in the middle of the season. If he can continue to hit the intermediate stuff and let those receivers run and make plays, and that backs some guys out, and those running backs can get north and south the way that they are, he's getting more comfortable with how he's working the mesh. All I'm saying is, last month of the season, which of these teams is going to be most dangerous? Like, which of these teams has the chance to better chance to knock somebody off the last couple weeks of the year? I think it's an interesting question. Michael and Aniana wants to debate it. Michael, welcome into the show.
Hey, Cole. War Eagle, man.
War Eagle.
I got two questions for you. First, from an Auburn perspective, what do you see in the game? Because I'm kind of like, I don't know about this season, man.
Are you asking about this Kentucky game this weekend?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We will discuss that one for you. I appreciate the call in. Okay.
Okay.
Is he not able to listen without? He sounded really disappointed there, and I didn't mean to.
A bit sad, maybe.
If that's the only way he can listen, I'm sorry.
He did also ask earlier, why is Bill Clark up for this other Miss job? And I said, because he's available.
He's a good coach.
Yeah.
And I think he might be ready to get back in it. But that's just my opinion. I have no real information on that. The first thing I would say about this game this weekend, Greg, is Auburn better pack their lunch. You better bring your hard hat. Because regardless of what happened against Florida, this is normally a team that will physically challenge you, specifically on defense. They have a grown-up defensive line, a grown-up front seven. And if you're not ready to manage that, good group of tight ends, running back runs hard, two really now. If you can't handle that part of it, you're going to have a long day. Also, be careful of what you give up in the passing game. Because even though they haven't created explosive plays much this year, they have two receivers, and this is the critical part. Listen to this closely.
Mm-hmm.
Very closely. This is a very important detail. They have two receivers. When they catch the ball, have a chance to take it to the house. Now, very important detail, parentheses, asterisk, explanation point, highlighted, bold, italics, underline, when they catch the ball. And I know that sounds crazy, but trust me, with that group, that's actually a part of it that is a big unknown, because they had two against Florida. One went for an interception that easily could have, should have, probably, definitely were catchable balls. So if you're going to give up a lot of easy stuff and think you're going to play off in that, and then you're going to let them maybe, let's just say, have the opportunity to catch some footballs, then that could be a problem.
Who's the better quarterback in that game?
Peyton Thorne. Listen, you can say what you want about Peyton Thorne. He doesn't take the snap and run for his life anymore.
That's true.
And there's a couple of times when Brock just, I feel like he just takes off. Like he just literally says, you know what? The hell with this. I'm just running. And he runs so fast. He's one of the, listen, I appreciate his effort and how he plays hard. I think he is an old school kid. But like Greg can tell you, sometimes at quarterback, playing a million miles an hour is not the answer.
No.
And he feels like one of those, like he has two gears. It's all the way or not even on.
Dead still?
Yes.
Yeah, I think Brock is, I think he's better than what we've seen this year. Like, I've seen some good moments. I've seen some good throws. I just don't seemingly get it all the time. I just wish I could get it a little more consistently. I think he's kind of a baller, to be honest with you.
He's got skill. There's no doubt about that.
He's just a throwback. Like, I really respect him a lot. I respect him a lot.
He's a coach's kid. So,
yeah, I think he plays a good brand of ball. He's not flashy. I think he doesn't have an ego. Like he stays within the confines of the offense and understands what his role is within the offense. And look, they haven't been great running the football this year. I mean,
or protecting. Yeah,
or protecting at all. So he's the straw that stirs the drink, but I would definitely rather have Peyton Thorne. Peyton Thorne plays like a veteran. Vandergriff sometimes plays like a freshman. And that's okay, because one guy started for 4 years and one guy started for 1, even though he's a fourth-year junior. So I think he will get better in time. For whatever reason, I do think he's hitting that wall here as a first-year starter where a lot of guys hit.
Peyton Thorne can still work the mesh. Peyton Thorne can. I will say, Greg, did you notice on some of his throws, like out wide on the perimeter, they felt like they didn't get there on time? I don't know if the velocity wasn't there. Maybe it was wind. Seriously, I don't know. They weren't. He wasn't getting rid of the ball late. It felt like the balls were kind of arriving late or later than they normally would.
Yeah.
But I think he can break you down with his legs a little bit. The only play that I had an issue with last week was the one where he kind of ducked the pressure from behind and then chucked it down the right sideline. That play was just a bad look. And it was one that I'm sure he probably hated watching and would like to have back. We all have those. But if you're talking about operating the offense, that's not even close, in my opinion. It's really not. And the only thing I think you would trade I would trade tight ends with Kentucky. Backs, no. Receivers, if we're going on overall ability, I think I might take the Kentucky receivers, but if we're going on ability to actually catch footballs, I'm taking the Auburn receivers. You're sorry, Damian. These kids, they led the nation in drops last year, and they're having drop issues again. It's unspeakable.
But you're taking the Kentucky tight ends right now?
Over Auburn's?
Yeah. Dude,
outside of 84, you can have them, man.
I get it, but what about 84 for Kentucky?
Josh Kaddish, Greg, they shouldn't be asking him to block defensive ends one-on-one.
Well, they are.
They put him on Dylan Stewart one-on-one, and you're like, he had a rough day. Well, no S. Everybody else has gone against him all year, has too.
We've called 3 of their games. 3. 84
can't pass protect Kyle Kennard one-on-one. Of course he can't.
Who can?
Neither could Will Campbell.
That wasn't the only one. That wasn't the only one. I think it's a wash on tight ends.
I think I'm over 13. 86 is fine. 84 has got to play more. It was put him in just for his demeanor. Like, just put him in because he will literally kick someone in the teeth if he has to. And you don't have a lot of guys like that. If my team struggled to hurt people and I only had like 2 or 3 guys that could do that, I would probably try to get them in the game more. Like, you want to run more 2-back, right? Put him at fullback. Put him as the other back and let him lead block. Jarquez Hunter, I bet, was a lead blocker on at least 8 plays last week. Now, that does give you a 2-way go with your backs, and you're not as predictable of which way you're going to run the ball. I get it, but I would want that guy in the game. Like 55 comes in the game, and like he's belly flopping guys. Like, he's trying to throw guys around. Like, where's he been? He at least tries to hurt people. But we're going to waste our time with, look how big. They can't even get in a stance. Hopefully that problem is now solved. But
I especially like on the first play of the game where you have a bust. That always makes
2 games in a row.
Warm fuzzies.
You're right. Fresh out the game.
Have we repped this?
It would be it would be different if Dylan Wade was a legit liability at tackle. He's not. He's not Orlando Pace. He's not Willie Anderson. He's not Marcus McNeil. He's not Jonah Williams, but he's fine. He can handle it. So get the other kids in there that can play, bump him back to tackle, and go with it. And it's just some of the personnel decisions are just, honestly, there's been times it makes me question myself. Maybe there's things that guy that doesn't like to get in front of a ball carrier does that I don't notice. Maybe there are things that 73 does that I just don't see, and my eyes are deteriorating. I am old.
You are. Can confirm.
Did we get a poll question out? Worst team in the league?
Yeah, it's up.
Do we have feedback from that?
Yeah, it's open-ended, but there's a lot of people that go with Oklahoma. We've got Auburn.
That defense is too good to be the worst team in the SEC.
Somebody tweeted in Alabama.
And by the way, they're above 500.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, they are above 500.
For now.
Okay. We having a competition of who's going to be the most games below 500 with the other teams?
When we're talking about the worst team, yeah. I mean, just being real. We're having a competition. Who's the most below 500? Well, yeah, actually.
Yeah, you're right. I can't really push back on that, I guess. Okay. All right, we'll continue.
In all fairness, like, if you could play any of them, who would you want to play?
Mississippi State.
I want to play Mississippi State.
Mississippi State.
If I can get any of them.
It might be Kentucky, man.
Okay, you're living too much in the you have recency bias.
Okay, but it's been. Here's nothing with Kentucky. It's tiptoeing down the stairs.
I get it.
Mississippi State is tiptoeing up the stairs.
I understand.
So what week are you going to catch them when it kind of comes together? It feels like you have a better chance of catching Kentucky when another one of the wheels is off.
I'm not saying you're wrong. at all.
And everyone knows I liked this team before the season. I like Eli Cox at center. I liked the tight end group. I mean, Caddis in the run game was getting after it last year. The receivers have juice. They just can't catch the ball.
That is
Love
part.
Pop Johnson.
That
at
is
linebacker.
part of the job description.
That's a problem.
It's like when you want to hire a manager role. Yeah, you know what? I'll be the manager, but I don't want to lead.
Just bad with people.
Kind of need to do that. Bad with people. Yeah, I'll be a mechanic, but I really don't want to work on cars.
Yeah, I just don't want to get my hands dirty. Other than that, I'm good.
Yes.
Exactly.
I'll do radio, but I'd prefer not to talk.
Yeah, if I could just type, it would be great. All right,
I'll cover the team, but not go to the games.
Oh.
Don't want to do that.
I'll do radio, but I'll watch Office episodes at night.
Why are y'all like this?
We calling out Conrad like that, man.
Why y'all like
Man,
this?
he'll be here in just a couple minutes.
Why'd y'all wake up and choose violence today?
Yeah, y'all did. It's that mid-season grind. It's
I gotta be honest with you. I woke up this morning in a great mood, but it's slowly but surely like Kentucky's team dwindling downhill.
Mm.
You are the Kentucky of the show. Welcome in.
Started in a great spot. Had some highlights. Now,
hey, next we'll debate who's the worst member of the show. Right here on Jock 74.5.
McElroy
No
minus 250.
Ooh.
Debate.
Back with more right after this. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Kublik in the morning. 800-239-9569, 800-239-WJOX. Text into the show 205-834-9450. Worst team in the SEC was our previous conversation. We will roll that conversation into a little bit of a different conversation here in just a moment. But have you done BJI yet?
Yeah.
Okay. Then we're not going to do that here. I'm going to
Word.
talk about Gusty Goulas and the Gusty Goulas group instead. I don't know. I didn't know another way to figure that out.
It's
So I
fine.
was
Who
gonna
cares?
ask right
Why
there
would
on
we
the air.
talk in the break?
Yeah. Well, I feel like our conversation was good during the break that we can't share on air.
Well, to
and
be honest with you,
glad we had it.
I'm just glad we teed up who's the worst member of the show, because I would think I was leading there. You might have just caught me.
Well, there are four possible answers with a
There's
Twitter
no way
poll question,
Damian
so just
saved
put it
it.
out
Just put it out there.
There's no way
Yeah.
Damian saved
Oh,
Eric.
please.
I know
Damian's
it.
definitely in there
It
with
ain't
top
me.
3.
Oh, that's
It ain't
true.
me.
Top 3. That's
It ain't-
right.
It ain't me.
Top 3 is an anchor.
You know what? I'll
Right
be
to the
glad to
bottom.
take it, and I feel like I'll win it, so that's fine. I don't mind. I have admitted plenty of times on the show that I'm a terrible host. And even though it's been a little better this week, I don't think I've overcome all my
Look at him
obstacles.
buying votes.
He
buying
is in a
votes.
dark hole.
Gusty Goulas is not, because they have over 835-star Google reviews. You can't go online and find bad things about them. Gusty Goulas Group, brokered by eXp Realty, served more than 3,000 home buyers and sellers in the greater Birmingham area. Since 2012, Gusty Goulas Group recognized both nationally and locally as Greater Birmingham, Alabama, #1 team in homes sold. They've helped family members of mine sell their home, get top dollar, get into a new home, and they can help you do the same. Call 205-542-1996, 542-1996, or visit GustyGoulasGroup.com today and start packing. Okay, so we get away from... Do you have any other text on worst team that we need to get to, that we need to talk about? That we
Yeah,
need to share?
Mark texted in and says that it's Auburn. Well, actually, he said Auburn will destroy Kentucky. Somebody texted in and said Auburn is the
We'll
worst team
find
in
out
the SEC.
Saturday night. I'm not sure how you could have a ton of confidence in that, but okay.
Paul says the worst team in SEC is Mississippi State.
Okay.
And somebody said Kentucky is the worst team, but they'll find a way to beat Auburn.
Let's just go through here quickly what they have the rest of the way. Mississippi State has Arkansas, UMass, they're at Tennessee, and then they get Missouri and Ole Miss. Keep in mind, they could be getting an Ole Miss team that's out of playoff contention. I have a feeling that will be a very different team. Missouri could be the same. How different? I don't know. Luther Burden, 3 games without a touchdown catch, Greg. I don't know how
3.
much is the injury, what it is, but he ain't going the way that it was. Tennessee, I'll say, no. But those other games, and especially when you're getting the last 2, I think could be winnable. Auburn at Kentucky this week. Vanderbilt. They have a couple people on that team that have some familiarity with getting a win in that stadium. ULM, 5-1 in the year, by the way. Texas A&M at home at Alabama. Some feel gettable, some feel losable. Kentucky has Auburn this week, and then they're at Tennessee, Murray State, at Texas, Louisville. Louisville's got some dudes. Now, Tyler Shuck might throw it to you, and he might give you a Montana fastball, underhand, sideways, looking the opposite direction. But they got some receivers, they got some backs, and he can make a lot of throws. So be careful with that one. Who has the best finish of those teams? Oh, Oklahoma. I'm sorry. You don't want to hear this.
It's so brutal.
Oklahoma will be at Ole Miss, Maine, at Missouri, Bama, at LSU. Spaghetti-O.
Ooh.
Honestly, none of them
Got
sound
'em.
good.
Yeah, right. Like,
Who has the best finish of the teams that we just named?
I think Auburn's the best team.
You're going to get
Personally.
A&M potentially in a playoff hunt.
I think you got A&M
Alabama
the week
maybe in a
before
playoff
Texas.
hunt.
You got
Vandy still in a playoff hunt.
A&M the week
Yeah, I
before
said it.
Texas at home.
That's fair.
I mean, that's one
I
that
didn't think
like
about that part.
you need to be careful there if you're A&M.
You get Bama after Oklahoma on the road.
It's like everything that could support his argument for the upset, it doesn't align. Oklahoma's one of the 4 worst teams in the SEC, and they're on the road.
Okay.
But yeah, I think the A&M one is one that's gettable. I know it sounds crazy, but it's gettable because of where it lies.
Here's your advantage if you're Auburn.
You think anyone around College Station could be talking about the Auburn game the week before Thanksgiving?
No, probably not. Here's the advantage if you're Auburn. If Kentucky plays like they played last week, you can get that game. Even though it's at the Krog, you can still get it.
Krog or Krog?
Vanderbilt, you are going to get coming off the Texas game, which if that doesn't go well, where's their mindset going to be? You'll have a week off before you play ULM. 2 weeks to prepare for the Warhawks. I didn't think that we would be in a situation where that would even be discussed as important, but you will have that, and you're more talented. You should win that game. Like Greg said, A&M looking ahead to Texas, and you'll get Alabama after they play Oklahoma. And if Alabama is not in the playoff hunt, what will that game look like? I think that's a discussion we have to start having with some of these games down the road. We don't know what it's going to look like if these teams all of a sudden can't reach the places that they thought they were going to be able to go. So I do think there's a chance that Auburn could have the better finish of all those teams because of how things line up.
Mm-hmm.
And they are getting some things in order. If the offensive line is now repaired and the quarterback continues to make better decisions and you continue to utilize 27, you get 84 on the field a little bit more, you got a chance. You have a chance.
I don't think it's a bad chance either. It's a decent chance.
It's a decent chance to have a decent finish.
Yeah.
And
Dude, they're not
that's what
that
we
far
strive
off.
for every day on this show.
They're just
Decency.
not that far off. I mean, in my opinion, I know that's
But how?
I know that falls on deaf ears, but they just feel if you're close, you keep knocking on the door, you're going to have that door open at some point or another. I know that they've had it on their racket a couple times, and that's really frustrating, but I don't know, man.
You say if you keep knocking on that door, you're going to know how to open it. But also, if that door is never opened, it becomes much easier to just not even try to open it.
Fair.
And that's where I wonder if some guys are of when they get to that moment late in the game, like Taylor was describing earlier, in the back of a lot of folks' mind, is it just, we're not going to be able to do this.
Right.
Or somebody's going to mess this up. But I've heard some stories about certain guys with leadership that are trying to keep the thing going. It sounds pretty good from a player perspective. So we'll see how that thing plays out. John, best finish of those teams.
I do think it's Auburn because I think their schedule's more manageable and they'll probably be running up against teams that have less to play for. They're making the better team, but I think their schedule is lighter, I would say.
Okay. All right. So that's where we are from that perspective. Any other feedback coming in on that one?
Yeah, somebody said every single game on Auburn's schedule is reasonable, and considering the track history, they'll find a way to lose it. So,
okay.
And Auburn Turner says if Auburn can get one win, they could be dangerous. It's can they get that one win is the question.
I've said it. I think Greg convinced me of this either Monday or Tuesday. If they get one, I would feel a lot better about it happening a couple of times. That sounds kind of elementary and easy to say, but it's just getting
It's
that
not
one
wrong,
is really
though.
hard.
You got to get that one.
Just to create some belief.
I don't care if it's minus 37 yards rushing, if it's 5 interceptions. If you get the one, I do think it will change a lot with how the rest of the year goes, but you got to get that one. All right, we'll get to a break. When we come back, the undefeated teams in college football that we did not expect to be there, who are you realistically buying, Greg? And who are you not? We'll discuss it next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Kubelik in the morning, 9:36 a.m. Wednesday, October 23rd, Jocks 94.5. Undefeated teams that folks might not know a lot about. I want to know who you're buying, Greg, who you're not buying, who you believe in, who maybe you don't believe in. Here are our candidates.
Here we go.
Navy is 6-0 for the first time since 1979.
Oh, yeah.
Army, 7-0 for the first time since 1996. I know that Army team well. Played them in the Independence Bowl. Won, by the way.
You played Army?
No, redshirt year.
But so you didn't play, but you were there?
Correct.
Dang,
Saw
I wanted
Vanilla
you.
Ice perform twice in Shreveport.
That's what's up.
Listen, when you're not 21 in Shreveport, there's not a lot going on.
Ain't much to do.
Not
Believe
much.
me, I went twice. I get it.
Iowa State, 7-0 for the first time since anyone?
1973.
No.
Yeah. I wouldn't even begin to be able to
Try
guess.
38.
So it's been a while.
Pitt, 6-0 for the first time since 1982. Miami, 7-0 for the first time since 2017. That's not really going to be a part of this discussion, though. And Indiana, 7-0 for the how manyth time in school history?
I'm going to say the third.
Second.
Second time in school
Second.
history. So let's start with Navy, Greg. Buying Navy is a legitimate team this year. Is that 6-0 smoke and mirrors, or is it real?
No, they're good. I'm not on board yet to say that they are going to make the college football playoff.
Yeah, we're not really doing playoff. Just
Yeah.
are they gonna be a real team that's gonna last throughout the course of the year?
Yeah, I think they will. I think against American competition, they have a real shot to be in the AAC championship. But they're going to need help. Like, they're going to need Boise to blow up for them to get into the playoff mix.
Yeah, I think a lot of these teams that we're going to talk about, they're going to have some teams fall a little bit. But Blake Horvath, he's a real deal. He can get it done, and they're fun to watch. That offensive line's good.
Very good.
They are absolutely a fun team to watch. Okay, Army 7-0 for the first time since 1996. Are you buying Army as a real team this year?
Navy over Army right now.
Okay. I'm sorry for those listening on Talk Radio 730 and 103.9 The Ump in the Rocket City that are working for the Army. They're on Redstone Arsenal.
There's
But
also Air
that was
Force
Greg
there
McElroy
too.
that said that.
Yeah.
Bryson
They'll
Daly,
survive. They'll be aight.
fun to watch. Kane Udo can tote the rock. They are a good team, though. They're a handful just because they give you so much offensively that you're going to have to defend first and foremost.
Yeah, no, I've watched one Army game this year, so in fairness, I have not done a deep dive, but I have done a deep dive on Navy, and I don't think at this point, I think Navy's got a little more skill, and I do think their quarterback is really solid. Like, Daly's fine for Army. He's fine, solid, but he's not throwing it with the same level of efficiency as Horvath right now.
He doesn't have to because not Ashton Genty, but Bryson Daly leads the nation in rushing touchdowns with 19. So just throwing that out there as a sidebar. Iowa State, 7-0 for the first time since 1938. I think we can talk about them as a playoff contender. Are you buying that, yes or no?
Yes, lock. And I think he's a legit Heisman guy. I mean, he's that good. Has anyone watched him?
I watched them yesterday, and I have some concerns on defense.
Fair.
I do like the offense. I think Rocco Beck can do everything they need him to do. I love their run game. I think they have pretty good skill. It's a little bit like watching Iowa State like 6 or 7 years ago. Like, it's almost kind of come full circle, I feel like, with maybe a little more talented quarterback. It's like some of those Brock Purdy teams, man. Like, they got a couple tight ends that are good. They got a really cool run scheme. They can play ground and pound. But defensively, specifically on the edges, linebacker end, I think they're very, very gettable. They play hard, though.
They play really hard. But I think that league is no different than the Mountain West. I know it sounds terrible to say, but it's the truth to me. Like, I don't view that league top to bottom as a whole significant step up
Right.
from that of what you'll see at some other places. Like, I think Iowa State's rock solid, really well coached. do the little things. All that stuff is beneficial, but man, I don't like the matchup they're going to face when they see some real dudes.
All right, Eli Holstein is leading Pitt with 1,700 passing yards,
Built by Bama.
15 touchdown passes, 5 interceptions. How real is Pitt 6-0 for the first time since 1982 when Dan Marino was the quarterback?
They're not bad. They're solid. They're 9-win team. I don't think they're going to be there at the end. That things will step up here significantly pretty quickly. They'll have a chance to play against 2 of the 3 big dogs. With Miami and Clemson, I believe, on their schedule. Or is it SMU?
They have Syracuse this week at SMU,
At
Virginia.
SMU. Yeah, that's what it was.
Clemson at home, and then they finish at Louisville at BC. That's a tough finish for Pitt. If you're probably trying to go undefeated to have a shot to make the playoff. Maybe not undefeated, but you got to make conference championship game and win it. Indiana 7-0 for the second time ever. Indiana for real?
Yeah. But
From a playoff perspective, you think they're real?
I don't think they're real. But I think they executed a real high clip, dude. I am going to be really interested to see how things go now with their backup quarterback. He's a good runaround guy. He's got some talent. But
Taven Jackson?
Yeah, if you look at Curtis Rourke and the anticipation and the urgency that he played with and getting the ball out, like it's really fun to watch that group execute. Like they executed a crazy high level. But no, who have they played? I mean, seriously, who have they played?
Yes, who?
It's
FIU struggling. Western Illinois at UCLA struggling. Charlotte struggling. Maryland, at Northwestern struggling. And Nebraska may turn into struggling.
One team over 500.
They beat the brakes off them.
Yeah, they smoked them, and they turned them over 5 times. Like they're opportunistic on defense. Like there's things to like about them a lot, but
I love their center. I like the offensive line. I like the run scheme. I think they have really good backs, and I think they have some good receivers. I think if people watch their skill, it would surprise them.
Yeah,
like Justice Ellison, he can go.
Oh, they got dudes.
He's got some wiggle. I think Elijah Surratt, if people watched him play, Omar Cooper Jr., not Amari, but they've got some guys that have some juice on the perimeter and at running back, and they do a good job kind of mixing the pieces around a little bit. I do think defensively there are some holes, and that's what we're going to find out as we go on. But I think they're super solid. I was interested to get your thoughts on losing Curtis Rourke and how you think that's going to affect them moving forward.
I do think it's significant because he plays on time. And he gets the ball out quickly, and he knows where to go with the football. And like we talked about the other day with Jalen, like sometimes it's a little frustrating when you watch Jalen. It doesn't appear like he always has a plan. Every time Curtis Rourke snaps the ball, he's got a plan for every possible outcome. Has a great feel for it. So it's a big loss to me. It's a pretty considerable loss.
Yeah.
Taking all things into account here.
Had surgery on his right thumb. So you think about a potential return, maybe Michigan State-ish on November the 2nd. So if they can find a way to get through Washington, he could be back for Michigan State on the road. I don't know. Then they get Michigan after that, who has quarterback problems of their own. Sherrell Moore, by the way, saying they don't know who their quarterback is yet.
Nah, I don't know how you could.
It's probably not good middle of the week, though.
Nah.
I feel like you probably want to start doling out reps to one or the other. But okay. Then they're at Ohio State, and then they get Purdue. So, like you said, with Pitt, same thing with Indiana. We're about to find out exactly what that team is.
That's the thing that's kind of irritating. Like, it's great to have good stories this time of the year, but we focus a lot of attention on teams that are just going to fizzle here pretty soon. Like, they're there by way of circumstance, not so much by way of quality.
But they're not all going to. Some might.
Some will continue on, and some will fast forward and they'll be 7-5. You know, I mean,
I was pleasantly surprised with what I saw in Indiana. I have concerns about the defense. Same thing with Iowa State. I love the offense. I think the offense is really good and tough to defend. I have concerns about their defensive speed, their defensive athleticism. And I think if you got a team that can live on the perimeter, they're going to have a hard time. But
fair.
You know, that's just, like you said, we're going to find out about those teams and where they are. And there's only one way to find out how to make sure your yard is green, barefoot good, lush next spring. Not now, but next spring, because we're about to head into dormancy, and you need to make certain that your yard is going to be looking good when it warms up again. It needs to be treated now, though, and through the offseason, and our friends Greg at Wayne's can help do that.
Yeah, they can. They can do it right now by giving you the first month free if you sign up at 866-WAYNES1. That's 866-WAYNES1. You can visit callwaynes.com. It's amazing how good the yard looks this time of year and how good it will look next spring as long as you get out in front of it here before the yard goes into dormancy. So call them today, 866-WAYNES1. Use the offer code JOX. That's JOX. And you can also go online to callwaynes.com and let Waynes continue to create your happy place.
All right, when we come back, we'll wrap it up with the bad box score of the day. Next, Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Kublik in the morning. Wednesday, October 23rd, Jocks 94.5. Watch us live on YouTube. Search Jocks 945 each and every morning. Listen online, jocksfm.com. App is in your app store, iPhone, Android. You can download that for free. Also, tell your home smart speaker to enable the Jock skill.
Let me tell you about my buddy Ben Hedden of the Beham Realty Group. If you think about selling your home, and when it comes to selling, you only want excellence, you need to give my buddy Ben a call at 205-568-2705 or go to BehamRealtyCo.com. If you're struggling to get your house sold because the markets are changing every single day, you need an expert that focuses on adapting at half the time to make sure you and your team come out on top. That's Ben Hedden of the Beham Realty Group. You can visit their website at BehamRealtyCo.com or give them a call at 205-568-2705.
I wanted to go back quickly just because we were just talking about it. Those teams that we just had discussions about, be it undefeated or worst team in the SEC, After our discussion, anybody's mind significantly change on any of those?
No.
Damien?
Nah.
It was going to be hard to convince me of a different outcome there, but I could be convinced maybe after this weekend. This weekend will go a long way into helping me figure out what the pecking order is at the bottom of the roster.
Got it. Good.
Do you not
John?
agree?
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Yeah, as we stand right now, nothing's going to change. Now, 4 days from now,
No, this
everything will
weekend's
change.
going to help
Yeah.
with
It's a
some
big
of those
one.
teams for sure.
Yes.
Like Greg was saying during the break, like Oklahoma Ole Miss, man, that's big. That's a big game.
Big game. They get
Um,
smoked again. Oof. And I
I'm
got
more
news
I'm
for
more
you.
interested in teams that are in Ole Miss's category of when they lose their next game, what are they going to be the rest of the season? Like if Ole Miss were to drop that game, what are they going to be? Like how many roster spots do they even have filled in each game the rest of the year? That's where we are.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to our bad box score of the day. Take you to JUCO football, the Hocking College.
Stevens.
No, they're the Hawks.
They are the Hawks.
Oh.
They played at College of DuPage.
College of what?
DuPage.
They are the
The Ramsteins.
no, they're actually the Rams.
I'll say DuPont.
They are the Chaparrals.
Of course.
Ugh.
Very classic.
Why wouldn't it be?
So I bet they go by Chaps. You think?
Yes.
I bet they do.
Safe.
They chapped Hocking over the weekend, 70-6.
Whew, hawked all over them.
It was not competitive.
They need some chapstick.
I think they probably will after this game.
A little dry.
Oh boy.
In Illinois, by the way, Hocking College.
Hocking College.
Yes, and College of DuPage. I'm sorry,
DuPont.
DuPage.
College
DuPont.
of
Or DuPage.
DuPage. 70-6 was your final there.
That's actually not that bad.
We've
had
bad.
worse.
It's bad. I know we've definitely had worse,
We've had worse.
but it doesn't
Still
mean
extremely
that it's
bad.
not bad. They're 7-1 on the season now. Their games have gone like this: 48-13, 49-12, 55-14, 50-0, 48-14, 2-0, forfeit. The one game they lost was Iowa Central, 30-35, and then obviously this last game in which they won 70-6.
Came back with a vengeance.
Well, I mean, I feel like they've been a pretty dominant team.
They had. Then they lose one, and look what happened. Turn
Huh.
around.
Freshman quarterback Justin Bland threw 5 touchdown passes.
Attaboy.
Running back Jamaron Dale, 2 rushing touchdowns in the game. He only had 69 yards on 11 carries. Michael Cervantes had 64 yards on 10 carries. And the dominant win. There's no like actual box score for me to read, so I have to go by the recap.
Hey, it's all
whatever it
good.
is. So just trying to give you guys an idea.
Even
of-
they
of
didn't care
what-
about it. Wow.
No,
Right.
not much at all.
We're done, guys.
Yeah, they kind of checked out of the whole thing. So that would be one bad box score of the day. Also in junior college football, sometimes we get these. They're not necessarily all timers, but they're kind of close. I don't like to say all timers though, but
Yeah, you do.
Snow College.
The Informers.
No,
Johns.
I knew you were going to say that. That's
No.
not right. No,
They are the they're Cyclones.
they're the Badgers.
Mm.
They took on
Snow Badgers.
Pacific Northwest Christian College.
They are the Stallions.
No,
Stallions.
they're the Crusaders.
Yeah, I'll do a Vikings.
You would all be wrong.
Mm.
Pacific Northwest
we
Christian
close?
College. They are the Angels.
Mm.
Oh,
Just
okay.
kidding.
Wow.
They're not the Angels. No. But they lost 80-0 over the
Did
weekend.
they wrestle with them?
Snow College won 80-0.
Go ahead, bunnies.
Snow.
32 first downs to 6.
Okay.
281 passing yards to 35.
Okay.
292 rushing yards to minus 46.
Whew, that's a double up.
Good defensive coordinator.
Hunter Everhart for Pacific Northwest Christian College, 8 of 21, 35
of
yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. It's a rough day. Donnie Smith, 18 of 22,
Donnie?
240,
Donnie.
5 touchdown passes for Donnie.
You got Donnie.
Donnie.
We're back tomorrow. 3-man front is next.